God damn it, Just a Robot and Carmen Writer already made responses to this video? You've gotta be kidding me. Well, fuck it. I'm gonna upload this commentary anyway because I've worked too long on this script and done way too much research to throw it all away. Besides, no offense to Jar or Carmen, but I don't think they covered everything that was wrong with this turd of a video. So without further ado, let's get things started. Hey everybody, Alex the Critic here, and welcome to yet another installment of Cancerous Commentaries, the series where I respond to stupid videos that I come across on YouTube. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't expecting my next video to be a commentary. I was actually going to do a review of those god-awful Steven Universe anti-racism PSAs. That plan went out the window as soon as a video from a YouTuber named No One Asked titled "Just a Robot is not a Creepshow art victim" landed in my recommendation feed. I knew who Just a Robot was, but I didn't know what he was being called out for, so I decided to watch the video to find out what kind of juicy drama I missed. And if the title of this video hasn't tipped you off yet, I wasn't very impressed with what I saw. In fact, Noah's video contained such bad, borderline slanderous arguments that I had to make a response to it just to save my own sanity. So grab a snack and sit down in a comfy chair, guys, because things are going to get fucking crazy. How crazy, you ask? Well, before I can even get into Noah's video, there is a lot of context that I need to catch you guys up on first. And I do mean a lot of context. Let's start with who Creepshow Art is. Creepshow Art, or Shannon, is a commentator who covers internet drama. If you're a long-time viewer of mine, you might remember that over a year ago, I actually made a response to a video of hers. Now, that video isn't all that important, but what is important is that at the time that I made it, Shannon had a pretty good reputation on the internet. Most people viewed her as an honest and trustworthy YouTuber. Over the past month, however, that image of her has gone down the drain, along with her subscriber count, after the admins of an anonymous internet drama forum named lolcow.farm revealed that Shannon had written numerous posts on the site wherein she did quite a number of awful things that I won't get into because it isn't relevant to Noah's video. Anyways, shortly after Shannon's lolcow history was uncovered, a storytime artist by the name of Emily Artful uploaded a 2-hour-long video in which she accused both Shannon and Shannon's boyfriend Andrew of stalking and harassing her for years. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about Emily's claims either, for two reasons. One, there's honestly way too much for me to go through on that front, and two, it's only tangentially related to Noah's video. If you want to watch Emily's video for yourself and come to your own conclusions about what she says, I'll put a link to it in the description. However, if you want a more concise summary of this whole drama in its entirety, then I suggest you go watch Spy V's video on Shannon, which I'll also link in the description. So where does Just a Robot fit into all of this? Well, he left the following comment on Emily Artful's video. Creepshow Art hurt me and friends of mine for almost nothing. The sad thing is, even when she was hurting my friends, they defended her because she helped them out in the past and they didn't want to believe it. This comment sparked a massive argument between Jar and several other commenters, including Noah herself, but I'll get into that when I start covering her video. For now though, let me explain who Just a Robot is. Just a Robot is a commentary YouTuber whose content mainly revolves around politics, though he does cover other subjects such as cartoons, anime, and general internet drama. On November 3rd, 2020, Jar made a video where he covered the Toby drama. Who is Toby and what was her drama about? Buckle up, kids, because the answer to that question is very, very complicated. And unfortunately, we are gonna have to get into it because Noah covers the drama in her video. Toby is a storytime artist slash commentator who rose to prominence thanks to a pair of videos she made criticizing Creepshow Art, coincidentally enough. However, back in June of 2020, she made a video complaining about the backlash that Shane Dawson, a comedy turned commentary turned makeup YouTuber, was receiving at the time for both his history of making racist jokes and comments, as well as just being a shitty person in general. That video received a lot of backlash, and another commentator named Kai Weiss made a response to it where he criticized Toby for making hypocritical arguments, ignoring the severity of Shane's actions, and being overly emotional. A couple months later, a third commentator named Omnia collaborated with Kai on a video about Toby. Kai's part of the video was a response to another video from Toby titled "It's Still Wrong If It's Drawn," where he once again criticized her for being a hypocrite. Omnia's part of the video, on the other hand, was spent arguing that Toby was a performative activist for claiming to be an ally to black people while still defending Shane Dawson despite the countless examples of Shane doing all kinds of horrible racist shit. On top of that, she also criticized Toby for being unable to take constructive criticism. After a week of beefing with Kai and Omnia on Twitter, Toby made a 40-minute long response to their videos on her. That response wasn't very well received, and 2 days later, Omnia teamed up with Kai once again to make an hour-long response to both Toby and an art commentator named Madlibs, who was a friend of Toby's that the two of them were beefing with on Twitter. I'm not gonna get into what was said in either one of those videos, both for the sake of time and because it's not all that relevant, but I will show you guys this neat little meme that perfectly summarizes this entire situation thus far.
Oh mercy! Oh mercy!
Now, in a sane world, this would have been where the drama ended. Toby made an ass of herself and got called out for it by two other YouTubers. Unfortunately, we do not live in a sane world because a literal day after Omnia uploaded her video on Toby, another commentator named Harsh Opinions made a 45-minute long response to Kai. Unfortunately, Harsh's response has since been deleted, and I never saw it while it was up, so most of what she said in it has been lost to the sands of time. However, there's only one clip in particular that deserves our focus because it's what led to Jar's involvement in the drama, and luckily for us, I happen to have the clip on hand. Roll it, editor!
I really don't want to get into the topic of the race comments because that's a whole other can of worms that really didn't need to be fucking opened.
Haha, yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. It's important to note that Harsh herself has since apologized for this remark. That being said, however, I'm still within my right to say that it was pretty stupid of her to tell two black creators that racial issues were, quote, a can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened. And yes, I know that Harsh herself is biracial, but the point still stands. This was not the smartest thing to say. Needless to say, Harsh's video was poorly received, and it led to a response from Kai in which he criticized her for being a hypocrite, putting words in his and Omnia's mouths, ignoring the severity of Toby's actions, and not reading the very DMs that she was accusing them of misconstruing. Oh yeah, during the drama, Omnia leaked some DMs that she had exchanged with Toby. I'll get into that later. That brings us to Jar's video. This infamous response, which was originally titled "The Toby Drama is Dumb and Here's Why," but has since been titled Toby Drama, was a collaborative effort between Jar and two other commentators named Manga Common and Fuchsia Butter, and was meant to serve as a critique of the behavior of both sides throughout this drama. Part of the video was also spent responding to select portions of Kai's video on Harsh Opinions. Jar's video was, flawed to say the least, and he received a hefty amount of backlash for it, with numerous commentators ripping Jar and his buddies a new one for making terrible arguments, including Kai and Omnia themselves, who made an hour-long video responding to them. About a week after Kai and Omnia's response went up, another commentator named Spockter, who himself is a personal friend of Jar's, uploaded his own 40-minute long assessment of the entire drama in which he criticized the video that Jar made for being tone-deaf and biased. All of this criticism led to Jar unlisting his original video and uploading two direct follow-ups. One titled "The Toby Drama is Over" and another titled "My Response." In the former, he apologized for, among other things, this infamous clip of him putting the image of a black SpongeBob on the screen while he read aloud a comment that Kai had written on Harsh's video.
I don't agree with a lot of this video, but I'm always open to different perspectives being out there. I appreciate your take on this, even if we stand on opposite sides.
In the latter, which was uploaded on January 3rd of this year, Jar apologized for all of the offensive jokes and comments that he had made in past videos, officially putting an end to what I personally believe is the biggest waste of time that's ever been had on the internet. Believe it or not, I am still not done recapping everything. Don't worry though, there's only a few more loose ends left, so let's tie those up quickly. A month after Jar uploaded his apology video, Shannon made a video on an artist/commentator named Hopeless Peaches. In that video, she responded to claims that were made against her in a Google Doc that was written by friends of Peaches. Now, the Hopeless Peaches drama is a whole other can of worms that I personally don't want to fucking open, but because it's relevant to Noah's video, we gotta get into it. The basic gist of the drama is that Hopeless Peaches did a lot of messed up things in her past, but it was later revealed that a lot of the things she got flack for were lies spread by Shannon and another commentator named Prison Mate Luke. So now she's the good guy again. I know, there's a lot of stuff that I cut out, but I'm trying to keep this video short, damn it. So if you want a more detailed breakdown of the Hopeless Peaches drama, I'll leave a link to Harley TBS's video on it, because I think he does a pretty good job covering everything that went down. Anyways, at the end of her video, Shannon called Peaches out for working on the video that Jar made on Kai and Omnia, and called Jar a super racist.
I hate it here, and the fact that so many people want to die on their swords for her is so weird. Like, Mega Common, what the fuck, man? You are literally out here saying that Peaches didn't participate in the garbage video you and super racist Jar made, even though she edited the script, which is literally participation, but I don't know.
It's important to note that Peaches didn't actually work on Jar's video, she only made one minuscule edit to the script, but that's besides the point. Shannon's video was filled with blatant lies and false claims about Hopeless Peaches that I won't get into because, again, it's not relevant. Go watch Spy V's video if you want to know what she said. Anyways, Jar, being a friend of Peaches, decided to make an entire video series debunking all of the claims that were made against Peaches by Shannon and other YouTubers. A couple months afterwards, Shannon got exposed for the post she wrote on LolCow, which led to Emily Artful making her 2-hour-long video on Shannon, which led to Jar leaving this comment on Emily's video, which led to No One Asked and a bunch of other commenters arguing with him in the ensuing thread, which led to Noah making her first ever video as a commentator, which was her rant on Just a Robot. There, I have finally gotten you guys caught up on everything. Am I the greatest YouTuber of all time or what? Now I can actually start responding to Noah's video. Take it away, Noah.
I really didn't want this to be the first video on my channel. Like, I wanted my first video to be about the rampant racism in the Genshin Impact community. And I really didn't want to touch the Creepshow art situation because I really don't have anything productive or constructive to add. But I see Just a Robot is trying to spin a new narrative and I refuse to let that happen. Like, even if I'm talking to the void, like, I need to get my personal opinion out.
IS titties, IS and titties, IS titties, IS and titties.
Anyway, after watching that video, I scrolled through the comment section to read everyone's thoughts. A vast majority of the comments are applauding Emily for her bravery, expressing sympathy for the trauma she endured, condemning Anthony and Creepshow for the literal demons they are, etc, etc. But as I kept scrolling, I came across a comment from one Just a Robot. The comment reads, "Creepshow art hurt me and friends of mine for almost nothing. The sad thing is, even when she was hurting my friends, they defended her because she helped them out in the past and they didn't want to believe it." Now, the issue I took with this comment was the first section, Creepshow art hurt me. Now, this can be interpreted as Creepshow art hurt me because she hurt my friends, and this could very well be true. However, if you read the comment thread, it's very clear that he's referring to when Creepshow art called him a racist. Alright, so here is where Noah gives us the basic premise that her entire video is built on, which is that Just a Robot is a racist. It's an argument that I disagree with 100%, but I'll explain why the further we get into her video. Someone replied to this comment saying, "I found it funny that even though all the accusations about you being racist were proven to be false, Creepshow still controlled the false narrative that you were in her second Peaches video. Even though all those accusations have already been proven false. What an absolute clown. I'm sorry for what you've been through, man. And again, I'm sorry for believing that you were racist in the first place. I wish only the best for you. Jar replied to his blatant lie, saying, to be fair, I didn't disprove them until after, but just stop and a lot of others did. Someone else replied, considering you openly admit to using racial slurs, I don't feel that bad for you given the racism. It shouldn't happen to anyone, but you're not a great person yourself. And Just a Robot, the man everyone swears has grown and changed, responded, it's not racist if you don't call anyone it, and everyone does it. Would you rather have me lie about doing it? In that moment, the number of replies made sense, and I felt like an idiot for ever giving this man the benefit of the doubt. Despite all the awful responses, despite all the non-apologies, despite him doubling down on everything in the Prison Mate Luke video, I still went against my better judgment and give this man the benefit of the doubt.
Wow, there are so many lies that you packed into that 1 minute of ranting that I'm not really sure which one I should debunk first. I guess I'll start by responding to the fourth comment that you read out.
Considering you openly admit to using racial slurs, I don't feel that bad for you given the racism. It shouldn't happen to anyone, but you're not a great person yourself.
Saying a racial slur is not in and of itself racist, nor does it make you a racist. What matters is the context in which you're using it. For example, if you're calling somebody a racial slur in order to demean them, then yes, that's racist and you are a racist. However, Jar has never once used a racial slur against anyone, and he has apologized for ever using racial slurs in the past.
In the past, I have used the N-word a few times. Not directly calling anyone it, and mostly using the GA one. But in my iDubbbz video, I did use the hard R N-word when I was quoting iDubbbz saying it to Tanta Montague. At the time I thought, as long as you don't directly call anyone it can't be racist. I do apologize for saying the N-word. There was no need for me to say it, and it was uncalled for.
So fuck out of here with that argument. Now let's read Jar's response.
It's not racist if you don't call anyone it, and everyone does it. Would you rather have me lie about doing it?
Admittedly, this comment is poorly worded, and as such, it gives off some unfortunate implications. However, what I believe Jar is actually referring to here is the constant use of the word nigga by black people. This is evident once you watch his final response to the Toby drama.
Is saying the N-word not to anyone but just saying it racist, is it not? Well, giving up a word completely, so people don't get hurt by it, even if it's a very small minority, sounds like a small price to pay. I mean, really, when you get down to it, what use does the word even really serve? I think everybody should stop using it, not just white people. I understand it's ingrained in our pop culture ever since the 80s, but if black people keep saying it, it's not going to be gone for good, and it's going to encourage white people to say it as well.
Now, I highly doubt that black people constantly say the word nigger, so there's only one other word that he could possibly be talking about. However, even if Jar wasn't talking about the word nigga, but instead racial slurs in general, Noah's whole argument is still dumb because Jar isn't trying to justify what he did. He's simply pointing out that everybody else says racial slurs. That doesn't make him a racist. It just makes him an idiot. Now, let's address the last comment you made.
Despite all the awful responses, despite all the non-apologies, despite him doubling down on everything in the Prison Mate Luke video, I still went against my better judgment and give this man the benefit of the doubt.
That is a crock of shit.
For those of you who are lost, what Noah is alluding to here are the two responses that Jar made to the backlash he received over his Toby drama video. Now, while the first video was definitely polarizing, if the like to dislike ratio is anything to go by, calling it a non-apology is completely inaccurate in my opinion, because he makes plenty of apologies in the very beginning of the damn video.
Before we begin, I would like to actually apologize for a few things. Number one is the title of my last Toby video. The Toby drama is dumb, and here's why. I really should have picked a better title, because it comes across as me saying anyone who's talking about the Toby drama is dumb. So now that this video is out, I'm just gonna rename that video Toby Drama. I know me saying I just picked a bad title and I should have picked a better one sounds kind of like a cop-out, and if you don't want to believe me, that's perfectly fine, I understand. Even if it wasn't my intention, I still made the mistake nonetheless. I also want to apologize for jumping on this Toby drama way too late.
Because I work a full-time job and I often hire editors, a video can take about 2 weeks to be fully finished. And collabs take the longest of all. I was really having a hard time getting Butters and Manga Common to finish up their lines. I'm often late for a bandwagon, it's kind of what I'm known for. But my intentions were not to revive the drama. But unfortunately I did, and for that, I am sorry.
How can you call that a non-apology? It sounds to me like he's explicitly apologizing for many of the things he did in his Toby drama video. And for those of you who want to argue that those apologies don't count because Jar isn't directly apologizing to Kai and Omnia, not only does he apologize to them later on in the video for the black SpongeBob image he put in his Toby drama video, as I mentioned before.
Also, my editor would like me to apologize on his behalf for the chaotic editing. As for the black SpongeBob he put up when I was reading Kai's comment, that's an inside joke between me and my editor from the race-bending video. We didn't mean for it to come across as racist, but it kind of did. So I do apologize for that. For the love of God, I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to put it in.
But in his first video on Hopeless Peaches, he directly apologizes to Kai for inadvertently implying that he was a racist in that video as well.
I'm sorry for calling Kai a racist. I really thought he was trying to make the person, who I'm not going to name in this video because she asked me not to and I'm going to respect her wishes, look like a racist. Their point about Kai was certainly poorly worded, but I thought Kai was trying to say that she shouldn't have made this point because she's white, when she isn't white, and how I responded to it, starting off with, "Shut the fuck up, bro, that's actually racist," really wasn't cool.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong. The dude took the L. Deal with it. Furthermore, in his final response, Jar explicitly apologizes for many of the things he said and did in several old videos of his.
I shouldn't have said to a guy that he doesn't look Native American enough. I don't know the guy's life, he could have grown up on a reservation. I don't think he wanted to even ask the question, he was just doing his job. And as someone who is a working man, it's pretty frustrating when people are insulting you for doing your job. So I am sorry for what I said. Sorry for calling the actress who played Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter play ugly. I really wasn't calling her ugly because she was black. I just thought her teeth was kind of funky, but yeah, it wasn't really called for at all.
If all of that isn't enough to convince you that Jar has repented for his sins, it's also worth noting that he has since unlisted both his original Toby drama video and his first follow-up video. What more do you want, woman? And as for Jar doubling down on everything in his Prismate Luke video,
Despite him doubling down everything in the Prismate Luke video,
that claim is so wrong. The video that Noah is talking about is called Prismate Luke's Fundamentally Flawed Video on Me. It was a response from Jar to a video made on him by Prismate Luke, which was called Just a Robot is Just Racist. In that video, Luke claimed that Jar was, well, a racist, and backed his claims up with clips of Jar supposedly saying and doing a bunch of racist things. However, in his response, Jar proved that Luke took those clips out of context and misconstrued his arguments.
He also again brings up how black people treat gay people the worst.
What the fuck? No! I said there's a lot of homophobia in the black community.
There's a ton of anti-LGBT stuff in the black community that we almost never talk about. I've even met a few black guys who believe that the LGBT community is white nationalism.
Not that they treat gay people the worst. Stop fucking putting words in my mouth, Jesus Christ!
He also just flat out says that people who hate interracial couples aren't part of the problem.
I understand there might be a few people in my comment section completely missing the point of this video and taking the least charitable interpretation possible. Please understand, I'm not saying people who don't like interracial couples are a problem. I'm just saying people who have a problem with same-sex couples is a way bigger problem.
Okay, was that poor wording on my part? Absolutely, but you can clearly hear from what I'm saying afterwards that I do still think it's a problem. And I say it's a problem in other parts of the video.
People having a problem with interracial couples is still a thing in our modern times.
I don't really know how you can see that and come to the conclusion that Jar is doubling down on everything. Unless, of course, you think his arguments are wrong, but you'll have to explain why they're wrong, or I'm calling bullshit on you, Chief.
I even commented on his response video to Omnia's thumbnail apology, explaining what a damn apology is, because he was upset that people rightfully didn't accept his own.
That's not what Jar was upset about. Please stop taking his arguments out of context. Alright, so this time, Noah is talking about a video called Omnia's Apology to Hopeless Peaches, which was Jar's response to a video that Kai and Omnia made where they addressed the criticisms they had received for their actions during the Hopeless Peaches drama. The part of the video that Noah is attacking Jar for comes in at around the 16-minute mark.
For one, I don't want your olive branch. You can keep it. I told you once before in my video on you, I don't want your apology, and I honestly don't want anything to do with you.
And it's also hilarious to me that Hotbox can do so many awful attack videos on Hopeless Peaches. He says sorry, doesn't really explain what he does wrong, he just says sorry, and she forgives him. But yet you can't do the same. Really?
The thing that Noah doesn't understand, however, is that Jar's issue here isn't that Kai won't accept his apology, but rather that he's being a petty asshole. He doesn't just make that claim offhandedly either. He substantiates his argument by going over all of the other shit that Kai does to Jar, such as lying about him,
My response, and you realize your video wasn't good. I don't need anything else from you. Also, neither I nor Omnia made the claim that your black SpongeBob was blackface.
Well, I never made the claim that you and Omnia said it was blackface. Now, to be fair, I should have worded myself better here. I was more so referring to the people who do think it's blackface and not specifically you and Omnia. However, many people did make the claim that it was blackface, such as Prismmate Luke, and I think Thuman did as well. But just to clarify, Kai and Omnia didn't claim it was blackface, at least to my knowledge.
Making baseless assumptions about his intentions.
The issue is with your reasoning, Jar. This is what you said.
As for the black SpongeBob he put up when I was reading Kai's comment, that's an inside joke between me and my editor from the race bending video. We didn't mean for it to come across as racist, but it kind of did, so I do apologize for that. For the love of God, I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to put it in, but if I asked him to take it out, then the video would have taken even longer to upload, so I was kind of screwed either way.
You made an inside joke about race bending, which is something that black folks use to create a space for other black artists to reimagine their favorite characters to look like them in a medium where black representation is little to none.
Wow, okay, wow, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Kai, for someone who complained about Harley speculating about the video you and Omnia were gonna make, you certainly did a lot of speculation with me saying it's an inside joke. Now that's what my editor told me to say. It was an inside joke. What was the inside joke to him? Well, he put it in a thumbnail one time. Hilarious, I know, right? I don't see the attempt at humor either. He also tried explaining to me that he thought the inside joke was that I kind of sounded like SpongeBob, which I completely disagree with. But personally, what I thought the inside joke was when he made the thumbnail for me, Black SpongeBob as a race bent doesn't really work because, well, SpongeBob is not any race, he's a fucking sponge. And if we actually put it in the thumbnail, it could have been taken the wrong way. And I thought that's what the inside joke was.
What was the point of doing that? That is why you got called out for it, Jar. I'm surprised you apologized for that and decided to still attempt to justify it by saying it wasn't blackface, it was black, as if me and Omnia ever made that claim against you.
I didn't claim that you or Omnia claimed it was blackface. I was defending myself from others claiming it was blackface. Me defending myself is not me justifying my actions. How did you even come to this conclusion? Jesus. One thing I've noticed about Luke, Kai, and all the others is they really like to ignore the fact that it was my editor who did that.
And peddling some of Luke's false claims about Peaches.
Agreed with Luke on anything in my video. I explained his perspective and criticized Peaches for the comments she made about me in his comment section. My disgust with Peaches was saying that Luke implied that she wished she would die because of her tweets. No, Luke should not have called Peaches a suicide baiter, but Peaches should not say that Luke wanted her to die.
Okay, never mind, I take back what I said. You did agree with Luke in your video. I'm not saying you agree with him 100% on every little detail. just that you agreed with him on a few things. Peaches never said that prison mate Luke wanted her to die. She didn't even use his name in the comment. She said because I didn't die. She's self-deprecating herself, saying if she only went through with self-deletion, she wouldn't be having to deal with all the backlash. Self-deprecating is something a lot of people do to make themselves feel a little better. I know I do it.
I'm sorry, Noah, but this is a bad take. Yes, Kai isn't obligated to forgive Jar, but that's not what Jar was upset about. Either you didn't watch the video, or you're arguing in bad faith. Forget that. What about all of the shit that Omnia did in this situation? Are you just not gonna acknowledge what Jar said in response to her mistakes? For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, in the midst of the Hopeless Peaches drama, Omnia had put this piece of art from Peaches in the thumbnail of one of her videos criticizing Peaches. Why is this an issue? Because Peaches drew that specific picture for the thumbnail of a video she made about her grooming experience.
Oops.
Yeah, to call this a mistake would be a massive understatement. Hilariously enough, however, Omnia initially didn't see a problem with this. On Twitter, she argued that Peaches had been okay with another YouTuber named Scritus using the same picture in the thumbnail of his video on Hopeless Peaches, failing to realize that Scritus and Peaches are friends.
Dear Creepshow Art, we are the Dorky Snakes. Not Manga Common, not Jar, or Toby, or whoever else you listed off in your video. We are Peach's friends, and we're not your enemy.
And that his video wasn't attacking Peaches like hers was. Also, he had actually gotten permission from Peaches to use the art in his thumbnail, which makes Omnia's comparison extra stupid. Then, in her video responding to this criticism, Omnia tried to pin the blame on Peaches for not reaching out to her and letting her know why the thumbnail was an issue.
Peaches simply had made it publicly or privately clear to me why she was okay with Scritus' thumbnail but not mine, provided additional context pertaining to the consent she gave regarding his usage, and her relationship with that particular piece of art as soon as Harley questioned me about my intentions on December 16th, I highly doubt this situation would have blown up the way it has today. I simply needed her to communicate at least that. If she had simply just made it publicly or privately clear to me like, hey, I would appreciate it if you didn't use my art in my thumbnail, then that would have been the end of it. No communication was had, and that's where the problem lies. You cannot get upset at me for not doing something you never even indicated you wanted in the first place.
I believe this is what people like to call victim blaming. In his response to Omnia, however, Jar was actually far more lenient on her than most other people were, myself included. He gave her the benefit of the doubt and assumed that her thumbnail was just a mistake that came about as the result of miscommunication between her and Peaches rather than a malicious dig at Peaches and her experience.
If Peaches simply had made it publicly or privately clear to me why she was okay with Scritus' thumbnail but not mine, provided additional context pertaining to the consent she gave regarding his usage, and her relationship with that particular piece of art as soon as Harley questioned me about my intentions on December 16th, I highly doubt the situation would have blown up the way it has today.
Now, some people did see this part as Omnia victim blaming, and yeah, I can kind of see why. I can understand why Peaches didn't contact Omnia publicly or privately. She just made 2 massive videos on her, and from Peaches' perspective, Omnia probably wasn't willing to listen to her. That being said, I can understand Omnia's perspective as well. While she did get a little bit of backlash, Peaches, the main victim, didn't come forward and tell her. In all honesty, I would have probably done the same thing if I was in her shoes. Now, some people think that Omnia used Hopeless Peach's grooming video for her thumbnail to intentionally send people after her. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know for sure, and I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, I don't think any of these dramas would have gotten so out of hand if there was better communication on both sides.
Noah, answer me this. If Jar really is a racist, then why is he being this apologetic about something a black woman did to his friend? Shouldn't he be raking her over the coals instead? I mean, Omnia is using Peach's grooming experience against her. I don't think that a racist would let her off the hook this easily, let alone one who's Peach's friend. Just saying. Now that I'm done with her point, let's respond to the comment she wrote on Jar's response to Omnia, because there is a whole lot of bullshit written here that needs to be debunked. Jar, an apology isn't about being forgiven. It's about understanding why your actions were wrong, making amends to the person and or people you've hurt, learning from your mistakes, and never repeating them. And I agree, which is why I think it's a good thing that Jar has explicitly apologized for both using racial slurs in the past and for putting inappropriate imagery in his Toby drama video. Not only that, but he's also not done either thing since, so we should be okay, right? No one is ever obligated to accept an apology or have a conversation with the people who hurt them. If they do, then good on them. However, they still have every right to reject the offer. You can't use someone not accepting your apology as a critique, as that defeats the whole purpose. It's not about you. It's about making right by the people you've hurt and respecting their wishes. In this case, not wanting to talk to you. I might have taken this point a little more seriously if you weren't talking as though Jar killed Kai's puppy. For the love of God, all that Jar did was make a joke that Kai found offensive. Get over yourselves. If you can't move on from a simple joke, that says more about you than it does the person who told the joke in the first place. Also, Kai didn't just refuse Jar's apology. He also lied about Jar by claiming that he was making fun of race bending and trying to justify his behavior. I'm sorry, but once you start putting words in somebody's mouth like that, you lose my sympathy. And what about making right by hopeless Peaches, Noah? Are you just gonna skip past the fact that Kai and Omnia hurt her, and that Jar's video was mostly about calling them out for that? I mean, come on, at least pretend to be fair here. Also, I noticed that in all of your apologies/apology videos regarding race, the quote, understanding why your actions were wrong portion is either not addressed or negated immediately afterwards. Citation needed, woman! This video is no different, as you did it with the SpongeBob picture. Please try to avoid this in the future. Well, first of all, that's a false equivalence because you're talking about a joke. Making a statement about race is not the same as making a joke about race. Second of all, he didn't fucking do that! Jesus Christ, woman, did you not watch the video? How could you make an argument this dumb?
Despite my black intuition telling me that this man's a racist who has learned literally nothing, I still want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I like seeing the best people, you know? But the ancestors have never steered me wrong, bro. Like, I purposely took the wrong turn and now I have egg on my face.
Oh yeah, girl, my ancestors ain't never steered me wrong. Except for the fact that, you know, you misconstrued every single one of Jar's arguments in order to reach your dumbass conclusion, but that's besides the point.
Creepshow art hurt me and my friends for almost nothing. If this isn't revisionist history, I don't know what is. Let's make something clear. Creepshow art is an awful person who has victimized a lot of people in various ways. You, sir, are not one of them. I know a lot has happened recently, so let's go down memory lane. Kai and Omnia criticized Toby. This then started Toby drama in which the community were being microaggressive and overly critical towards Kai and Omnia.
Oh god. Microaggressive? Really? I suppose next you're going to lecture Jar about checking his white privilege. You've also gotta love how I spent 12.5 freaking minutes trying to summarize every drama that's relevant to Noah's video as succinctly as I possibly can, with screenshots and other visual aids on hand, and yet Noah is so lazy that she boils down a half year of YouTube drama to, quote, a community being microaggressive and hypercritical of Kai and Omnia. She doesn't even explain who Kai, Omnia, or Toby are. I mean, come on, lady. Could you at least try to put effort into recapping this drama? That aside, I disagree with the narrative that the entire commentary community ganged up on Kai and Omnia during the Toby drama. Not only did very few creators make videos that were critical of them, at least from what I could see, but if you look back at the like to dislike ratio on all of their response videos from that time, you'll see that the reception they got was more than positive. On the other hand, Toby's response to Kai and Omnia was disliked to hell and back. And if you scroll through the comments section, most of the feedback she got was negative, with people expressing their disappointment in Toby. On top of that, the other videos that were critical of Kai and Omnia also got plenty of pushback, and most of said videos have been either unlisted or deleted. The majority of people were on Kai and Omnia's side, including commentators like Prison Mate Luke and Thuman, both of whom have pretty sizable audiences.
Hey guys, Editing Room Alex here, and you know, for two people who were supposedly ganged up on, it sure is weird how Kai and Omnia were able to hurt, if not outright destroy, the reputations of anybody that went after them. That's not typically what happens in situations like this. In fact, I've got a real example of somebody being ganged up on by an entire community for pretty stupid reasons. Want to know what that example is? Here's a hint. I kinda made a whole ass 2-hour-long video on it that you guys should all go watch once you're done watching this one. However, even if all of that wasn't enough to convince you that the Toby drama wasn't one-sided, let's also not forget all the things that Kai and Omnia did to drag the situation on.
First things first, Kai went after Madlibs for a tweet she made where she complained about a girl who was bothering her. Kai had assumed that the tweet was about Omnia, but soon learned that it was actually directed at somebody else. Next, Omnia leaked the DMs that she and Toby exchanged with one another. Now, it's important to note that in her first video on Toby, Omnia had already shared some of the DMs that they exchanged with each other by the time that this happened. While I do take issue with that, and I'll get to why later, I'll admit that Toby's response to Omnia's action, which is what led to Omnia leaking the entirety of their DMs, was pretty stupid. Toby claimed that Omnia had cut her out of context when she went over their Twitter DMs in her first video on Toby, and so Omnia leaked the DMs to prove that she was full of shit. However, what Omnia failed to account for is that Toby happened to disclose some pretty sensitive information about her private life in those DMs, and Omnia didn't bother blurring those messages out before leaking them to the public. Omnia's defense for this was that Toby shouldn't be sharing such sensitive information to people she didn't know in the first place, while Kai argued that because they didn't cover the information in their video, this was a moot point.
But the story was not in either one of our videos, nor did it have anything to do with them. No one would have even known about it or the DMs if you didn't lie and claim that Omnia twisted everything and cut the DMs up. This whole situation has nothing to do with that story at all, but you went grasping for straws and took the first thing that you could blow out of proportion and fish for pity for.
What an asshole!
Regardless of if you think it was stupid of Toby to share private information with a stranger on the internet, Omnia was still in the wrong for not taking the time to censor that information when she leaked the DMs. A mistake was made, and her and Kai trying to justify theirs by saying, "We didn't cover the DMs in our video on Toby," is pretty dishonest to me. Finally, there's this wonderful little segment from Omnia's hour-long response to Toby and Madlibs where she, quote, warned others not to get involved in the drama.
Right now, I'm speaking to Madlibs, Art, and whoever else you're collaborating with on this supposed video y'all are making. Unless you're looking to end up like your little friend right here, just don't do it. You already look bad for getting yourself involved for no reason other than to do Toby's dirty work. So just spare yourself the time and the inevitable tank in subscribers and just make some other video. I'm saying this for your own good. Take care of yourself.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Kai and Omnia are as bad as Toby or that they are 100% responsible for how the drama escalated. After all, they've apologized for every single thing I've brought up, unlike Toby, who hasn't apologized for anything. However, let's stop pretending like they were ganged up on or that they didn't have a hand in making the situation a bigger shit show than it already was. That is false, and you know it is, Noah.
There was some back and forth for a while, but the drama died. You, Manga Common, and Fuchsia Brothers decided to revive the Toby drama, and that now removed hit piece against the two of them.
Alright, well first of all, I disagree that Jar and his friends revived the drama. As Jar mentioned in his The Toby Drama Is Over video, the last video on Toby that had been made before his came out was from 3 weeks ago.
I also thought the Toby drama was still going because I think there was a video that came out just 5 days before mine on Toby, and Luke's second most recent video on Toby was less than 3 weeks old.
So it's a teensy bit disingenuous to claim that he revived anything. Also, their hit piece? Really? That is such an underhanded way to describe a video that I honestly don't think is all that bad. Don't get me wrong, Jar's original Toby Drama video was dumb, and I don't agree with a lot of what was said in it. Jar and his friends misconstrued many of Kai and Omnia's arguments, and a lot of the evidence that they presented to back up their points wasn't very solid. Combine that with Fuchsia Butters being a close friend of Toby's, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that this video was heavily biased in Toby's favor. However, I just don't think that Jar himself did anything that horrible to Kai and Omnia. In fact, the worst argument that Jar makes in this video has nothing to do with Kai or Omnia, but was instead about how the Netflix film Cuties wasn't porn.
Now, Toby's point was that people who draw porn of kids are pedos. But Todoroki isn't a kid. He's 16, old enough to drive. The age of consent in most states is 16. Now, I understand a few of you might say that's basically the whole "it's not pedophilia, it's a femophilia" argument. Fine, I get that. But she didn't draw porn of him. I don't like the movie Cuties, but it isn't porn. Suggestive? Yes. Inappropriate? Yes. But porn? No.
Yes, he really did just say that a movie which features child actresses performing sexually provocative dances and outright flashing their no-no parts isn't porn. I don't think I have to explain just how disgusting that is. And I'm surprised that Noah doesn't go after Jar for it. I mean, I personally think that defending child sexual exploitation is way worse than being a racist, but to each their own, I guess. Oh, and before any of Jar's fans come after me for what I just said, yes, I know that Jar doesn't like the film and that he has apologized for this argument. However, I still have the right to criticize him for what he said, since we're not talking about his apology, but rather the video itself. And as for the age of consent argument, well, Jar has a point here. The age of consent in a lot of states, as well as a lot of countries in general, is 16, so what Toby did wasn't exactly illegal, though admittedly it is a gray area. Plus, I think her whole issue with drawn child porn is stupid to begin with, because we're talking about drawn images of fictional characters. The key words here being drawn and fictional. But that's a rant for another day. So yeah, Jar's Toby Drama video is pretty bad, but it's not the worst thing ever, and I certainly wouldn't call it a hit piece. As for Jar supposedly calling Kai a racist in that video, well, frankly, I don't think he did any such thing. If you actually watch the clip in question, Jar doesn't call Kai a racist. He simply says that Kai's response to Harsh Opinions' Can of Worms comment was racist, which isn't the same thing.
Really don't want to get into the topic of the race comments because that's a whole other can of worms that really didn't need to be fucking open.
Okay, first off, yikes. Second, you're right. Toby isn't a mind reader, but neither is Omnia. Also, notice how both of us are speaking on their behalves right now? Just wanted to point that out. Omnia may have consented to the conversation, but she could not have expected Toby to go on a rant about racism versus racial insensitivity. Also, a can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened? You're a white woman. Who are you to say that? That can of worms is open for me and Omnia both, every day of our lives as black people. If that BLM in your Twitter name meant anything, you would know how foolish it is to say this.
Who are you, as a white woman, to say this? Shut the fuck up, bro. That is actually racist. A black man can say what he wants. just like a white girl.
And yes, I know that Jar apologized for that exact clip, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with the conclusion that he and a lot of other people came to. He wasn't calling Kai a racist. He was simply saying that his argument was racist. Could his point have been worded better? Yes. But honestly, you could say that about the whole video, so I don't understand what all the fuss is about. This was just a bad video that had a lot of stupid points in it. Calling it anything more than that is just slimy to me.
The hit piece in question included things like this.
Alright, so Noah didn't do any research before making this video, and I'm going to prove how I know that. She says right here that Jar's video is gone, but that isn't the case. It's just been unlisted. You wanna know how I know that it's only unlisted? Kai links to the video in the description of his response to Jar. If you click the link, it'll take you straight to Jar's video, where you can plainly see that it's still up. You being unable to do 5 seconds of research to find a video does not bode well for your credibility. Noah then goes on to play 5 minutes of uninterrupted footage of Kai and Omnia's response to Jar. No, I'm not joking. She plays 5 straight minutes of their video without adding any commentary. Normally, I wouldn't have an issue with this, seeing as how Noah is giving us evidence of her claim that Jar's Toby drama video was a hit piece. However, she forgets to cut out Kai and Omnia's responses to Jar.
This video starts off with a message saying, "Please don't attack anyone mentioned in this video." But looking at Harsh's video, it got a ton of dislikes, and some of the worst hate comments I have ever seen.
Wait. What did those comments say? I don't like how you're telling a black person how to feel about this. Telling a black person not to open the can of worms on racial stuff is kinda sus, not gonna lie. Yeah, maybe don't undermine the racial experiences of 2 black people next time. As a black person, I have to deal with what you call the can of worms every day. Don't comment on racial issues you don't know or care about. Thanks. This can of worms is the life Anya, Kai, and I have to live every day as black people. Comment under their most recent community post demanding an apology, I think when it's due. These are hate comments to you? Not only hate comments, but they're the worst hate comments you've ever seen. Do you mean worse as in the quality of the comments, or worse as in the level of how hateful they are? Because these comments are neither. These are people who are upset with what Harsh had to say about race. They didn't attack her race, her appearance, her drawing skills, or anything. They didn't even attack her. They just vented their frustration with the video and the comments she made. A lot of the top comments on that video are actually real, rational criticisms.
Why is this such a problem? Well, there's 2 reasons. The first one is that Noah told us that she was going to show us clips from Jar's Toby drama video.
The hit piece in question included things like this.
So why does she leave in Kai and Omnia's responses? Well, Alex, it's clearly because she couldn't find Jar's video. Then why didn't she just edit out Kai and Omnia's segments? Because she wanted people to hear their rebuttals to Jar's points. Then why didn't she make those arguments herself? Because Kai and Omnia's arguments are better than any argument that she could make. Okay, then she should have just told us that she was going to play us the most damning bits from Kai and Omnia's response to Jar, instead of telling us that she was going to show us clips from Jar's video directly. I know that this is a petty nitpick, but give me a second to explain how annoying this poor presentation is. Imagine if I was doing a review of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and during the review, I said, now I'll play you guys some of the cringiest lines of dialogue that's in these movies. But instead of playing those lines of dialogue, I just played clips from other people's reviews of the prequel movies, where they criticize the lines of dialogue that I'm talking about. Do you get what I'm complaining about now? Second issue I have is with some of Omnia's responses to Jar.
No, she said, I don't want to get into the topic of Ray's comments. Here's a timestamp you can clearly hear her say I and not Kai. If anything, you guys are telling her as a non-black person how to feel about race. When people are falsely accusing someone of something, yeah, it's a hate comment. Also, you are actually putting words in her mouth and taking what she said as a whole other thing entirely. Here is what she actually said. I really don't want to get into the topic of the race comments because that's a whole other can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened. I don't understand how that doesn't tell you that she didn't want to talk about it, but keep cutting her out of context despite crying wolf about people cutting you out of context.
Thing is, I started my comment off by quoting the last half of what Harsh said, which I show right here. She still said that the race comments was a whole other can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened. To a black man whose race is a can of worms that he unfortunately doesn't have the privilege to simply dismiss and leave unopened like y'all can.
Actually, Omnia, Kai does have the privilege of being able to dismiss that can of worms and keep it unopened. All he had to do was ignore Toby's dumbass opinion and continue on with his life. I know that I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying that, but please hear me out. This whole drama started because Kai disagreed with Toby's take on the Shane Dawson controversy, right? As such, Kai and Omnia, let me ask you this question. How does Toby's opinion of Shane Dawson negatively impact your lives as black people? I'm serious. How does her having a different opinion about Shane Dawson than y'all hurt you two in any way, shape, or form? Does her opinion prevent you from getting a job? Does it prevent you from going to school? Does it prevent you from exercising any of the rights you have as citizens of the United States? Did it prevent Shane's career from being destroyed, which is ultimately what happened? If the answer to any of those questions is no, then what the fuck is the problem here? Now, obviously, the answer to my question is that Toby's opinion was still ignorant, poorly delivered, and hypocritical, and worthy of criticism regardless of whether it hurts anybody or not. However, the problem I have with Kai and Omnia isn't that they're responding to other people's arguments. It's with how they're responding to other people's arguments. They're both acting as though racism is a huge burden on their lives, which personally irritates me for two reasons. One, they're both misunderstanding what Harsh was saying. Now, like I said, I don't have Harsh's video on hand, so I'm gonna have to rely on what I learned in high school English class and use context clues to make my argument. First things first, was it dumb for Harsh Opinions to call racial issues a quote, can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened? Yes, I said as much at the beginning of this video. However, I don't think that Kai and Omnia knew what Harsh was referring to here. She's not talking about racial issues in general. She's talking about the racial comments that Toby made in her DMs with Omnia. And you know what? Looking back at Omnia's first video on Toby, I actually think that Harsh had a point, because Omnia lacked a justifiable reason for leaking Toby's DMs. She only read them out because she hated Toby's video about drawn child porn being wrong, and the DMs just happened to prove a point of hers that was related to the video, which was that Toby was a hypocrite because she defended Shane Dawson despite Shane's history of pedophilic behavior.
Kai said, people commenting on your support for Shane is a valid critique when you seem to be advocating for things Shane has been proven to perpetuate. How can you advocate for no CP when Shane kissed a 12-year-old on the mouth when he was 21 whole years old? How can you yell into your mic about how bad drawings of CP are while simultaneously supporting someone who has a very notable track record of calling 6-year-olds sexy on his podcast and harassing his 12-year-old cousin by asking her to do sexually suggestive things? I feel like all your points regarding CP or anti-racism just fly over my head simply due to the fact that you refuse to challenge your idol, Shane Dawson, for absolutely anything he has said or done.
This is incredibly shallow. Twitter DMs are private conversations, and you should respect the privacy of people who willingly come to you to give you their thoughts on sensitive topics that they themselves might not be comfortable expressing in public yet, especially when you not only ask them for their perspective multiple times, but also fail to inform them that they're going to be used in a public video. Yeah, you can check the DMs yourself. Omnia never tells Toby that she's going to read any of their DMs in a video. I don't know about you guys, but that just makes her look like an untrustworthy backstabber to me, which, come to think of it, is what Jar and his friends were arguing.
I admit, she shouldn't be speaking out like this, especially to a stranger, But at the same time, that doesn't give you the right to actually leak the DMs. Allow me to explain. By leaking the private conversation, any other chance you have to talk to someone you're going to be criticizing will be met with nothing but the cold shoulder. Because people won't be able to trust you since you're willing to leak these kinds of situations. If Toby admitted a crime, yes, go for it. Expose her, because that's good to do in your civic duty as a person.
But stuff like opinions, even stupid opinions that you might find offensive, that's a fat fucking nope.
That's really stupid, and something that shouldn't have been done. Why should anyone talk to you about anything going forward, when you've shown that you're willing to leak DMs about petty stuff like this? Don't be surprised if no one you criticize wants to talk to you after this. You simply can't be trusted.
And don't just tell me, well, Toby made that video on Shane Dawson, so she clearly felt comfortable expressing her opinion on racial issues in public back then, because that still doesn't excuse betraying somebody's trust by leaking private messages that were exchanged months after the fact. You can prove that Toby is a performative activist without doing that. Now, I would understand Omnia leaking the DMs if Toby had made a YouTube video where she said, OMG guys, I had a conversation with a black YouTuber named Omnia about the Shane Dawson stuff, and she totally agrees with my perspective. So all of you assholes criticizing me in the comments for supporting Shane better GTFO, because even black people agree with me. In fact, if such a video or tweet does exist, then I will retract everything I've said and eat my shorts. However, because Omnia doesn't bring up any such thing happening in her video on Toby, I'm inclined to believe that she leaked her DMs with Toby because she wanted to win an argument on the internet. And that's just gross, damn it. It also doesn't help that Kai just assumed that Harsh Opinions was white.
Also, a can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened? You're a white woman. Who are you to say that?
Man, Kai sure does love to just assume things about people. He did it to Harsh Opinions over her race, he did it to Mad Libs over this tweet, he did it to Hopeless Peaches over some of Luke's claims about her, and he did it to Just a Robot over the black SpongeBob image from his Toby drama video. It's almost like he's a fucking asshole or something. But I digress. The second reason why many of Omnia and Kai's race comments trigger me so much is because of their constant virtue signaling. They frequently moan about how oppressed black people are whenever they respond to people criticizing them for their views on race.
Really don't want to get into the topic of the race comments because that's a whole other can of worms that really didn't need to be fucking open.
A can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened? You're a white woman. Who are you to say that? That can of worms is open for me and Omnia both, every day of our lives as black people. If that BLM in your Twitter name meant anything, you would know how foolish it is to say this.
She still said that the race comments was a whole other can of worms that didn't need to be fucking opened. To a black man whose race is a can of worms that he unfortunately doesn't have the privilege to simply dismiss and leave unopened like y'all can.
The real issue is with your reasoning, Jar. You made an inside joke about race bending, which is something that black folks use to create a space for other black artists to reimagine their favorite characters to look like them in a medium where black representation is little to none. You joking about something like that is an issue. Making SpongeBob black to what? Make fun of black artists and cosplayers that create beautiful works like this to gain representation in their own way?
I'm sorry if this comes across as insensitive, you two, but it's not that much of a burden to be a minority living in America anymore. Don't get me wrong, America is not a perfect country. There certainly are racial issues that do still exist in it, particularly when it comes to the drug war and how it's been used to disproportionately jail minorities. And I do still think it's possible for individual black people to experience racial discrimination. After all, we've heard so many stories of racist white women harassing black people for petty reasons that it's basically become an internet meme. But it's not the 1960s anymore. America is a much better place for minorities now than it ever used to be. We have outlawed racial discrimination. In fact, we've gone one step further and implemented affirmative action. We have thousands of Black, Hispanic, and Asian people who have become multi-millionaires in this country thanks to their pursuit of a multitude of different careers, be it athletics, music, or acting. We had a Black president and currently have a Black vice president. Okay, I know neither one of them are 100% Black, but you get the point. And as for the racist Karens, well, whenever these types of stories are reported on, who does the public take the side of? If you said the Karens, then you are clearly living in a fantasy world, and you need to snap back to reality. In fact, there have been numerous instances in the past where white people have lost their jobs for doing or saying something racist. That type of shit would never happen in the 1960s. And you two dismissing all that racial progress just because somebody made an argument that you personally disagree with makes me lose whatever sympathy I might have for your position. Yes, racial issues still exist. However, things are not so bad that your race is a can of worms that you have to struggle with every day of your lives. I guarantee you that 99% of the people you know don't give a fuck about your race, you self-righteous pricks.
They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need the chains. They gave us tiny screens. We think we free cause we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame.
And as for Black people barely having any representation in pop culture,
you made an inside joke about race bending, which is something that Black folks use to create a space for other Black artists to reimagine their favorite characters to look like them in a medium where Black representation is little to none.
Nigga, have you not seen half of the diverse TV shows that get produced on a monthly basis? You guys have plenty of representation. Shut the fuck up.
What does our race have to do with anything? You racist Black woman? And you didn't mention the trans woman.
He's speaking about Fuchsia.
Are you saying trans people aren't real people? Just kidding with that last part, but do you see how easy it is to use identity politics? I can do it too.
Did you just call me a racist Black woman? I don't really have the energy to unpack that sentence, but Lord have mercy, am I being tested right now?
First of all, Jar wasn't calling you a racist Black woman. He was making a point about how easy it is to play the identity politics card. Second of all, let me provide you guys with a translation of Omnia's words. Jar made a solid argument that I have no refutation for, but instead of conceding the point, I'm going to dismiss it entirely, because I can't stomach the idea that I might be wrong about something.
His comment in a funny voice to be entertaining. I'm not trying to make him look stupid or anything. You really like projecting, don't you?
No one, and I mean no one, was entertained by you reading Kai's comment in the slowest and most condescending way possible. I can guarantee you not a single soul.
Huh. I don't know about that, Omnia. Judging by this like to dislike ratio, I can tell that at least quite a few people found that joke funny.
Also, would you mind explaining why you decided to throw in Black SpongeBob while you were reading it? Like, genuinely. What purpose does that serve? Is that supposed to be for entertainment purposes too? Was it supposed to be funny? Was it supposed to get people to laugh about Black people? Or like, Kai's Black, LOL, Black SpongeBob, you know, like, this is such a funny idea. I don't know, just questions I'd really love answers to, bro.
Funnily enough, Omnia, you just answered your own fucking question. Jar's editor put the Black SpongeBob there to make fun of Kai. It's part of this fancy new thing called comedy. I know that Jar's editor said that he put it in there because he thought Jar sounded like SpongeBob.
Jar has no intentions to put anything like that in his videos. His editors do what they want to do. They put what the fuck they want to put in the video. That's just how it's always been. All the editors have a free will to put what they want in the video. So this is completely on my bad. And I do want to mean this. I do not intend it to be racist or anything remotely shape or form at all with that. And to give the brief context of why it was there, But basically, the reason why the black SpongeBob was put there was just because I thought Jar kind of sounded like SpongeBob.
But let's be real here, do any of you actually believe that? I mean, come on. I'm not trying to cancel the editor or anything. I honestly don't care if they put the image there to make fun of Kai for being black. It's a joke. It's just that I don't buy the editor's claim. Oh, and for those of you who might be upset with the little tirade I went on about race issues a few moments ago, how could you listen to Omnia's point here and not think that she's blowing things out of proportion? She is complaining about someone putting the image of a black SpongeBob in their video to make fun of a black person. How oppressed can black people in America really be if this is something that they have the time to complain about? This is the very definition of a first world problem. I'm sure that the starving children in Africa would love to be in a position where petty internet drama was their #1 concern, but I'm 99% certain that they're far too busy worrying about being drafted into a guerrilla army. Before anybody cancels me, the gorilla I'm referring to here is a revolutionary force, not the animal. I wasn't trying to be racist, it's just that those two words unfortunately share the exact same pronunciation. Here's the thing though, if Omnia was criticizing Jar's joke for being poorly executed or nonsensical, I wouldn't have a problem with that. However, she's heavily implying that the joke was bad because it's racial in nature, to which I say, who the hell cares? It's a joke. Move on. Come on, Alex. Isn't this supposed to be a response to Noah? Get back on topic, man. Sorry. It's just that Noah played these clips in her video, so I felt that it was fair game for me to respond to them. Alright, let's get back to the main event.
Because of these things, and the entirety of the video really, people called y'all out in the comment section. People also did some digging on you and found out you have racist past and present, and Thuman called you out on your racism on Twitter.
Oh gee, I sure hope that you'll play the video you've got up on the screen so I can hear what Jar says and come to my own conclusion about whether it's racist or not. Hey, wait a minute. Isn't this tweet from Thuman the same person who made that 40-minute long video defending Kai and Omnia from all the shit they were getting from Toby supporters on Twitter? I'm totally sure that she doesn't have any sort of bias against Jar, who was one of Kai and Omnia's critics. Also, is the length of that clip only 1 minute and 10 seconds long? Well, geez, call me crazy, but I have a sneaking suspicion that whatever clip Thuman is showing here was taken out of context.
After the backlash, you made a passive-aggressive BS apology, which, fun fact, black people don't have to forgive racism or accept apologies about racism, especially the ones we don't think are genuine.
Well, first of all, Jar never said that black people have to forgive racism. That's just something you pulled out of your ass. Second of all, how do you know that the apology wasn't genuine? Are you going to play any clips from it and point out the inconsistencies in Jar's rhetoric? Nope, because that would mean making an argument, and we all know that you can't do that, so it's better to just lie about Jar's intentions.
And Prismate Luke released a Now Remove video calling you out on your racism. After this, you made a horrible Now Remove response video in which you doubled down on all the racist things you were called out for.
I've already explained that Jar's video on Luke wasn't him doubling down on his supposed racism. He was debunking the bullshit claims that Luke made against him. Fuck off. And once again, the videos haven't been taken down, they're just unlisted. Learn the difference, Noah.
Somewhere within that timeline, the Hopeless Peaches drama started. And towards the end of the Hopeless Peaches drama, Creepshow Art made her final video on the situation, in which she, well, let me play your clip.
But then again, she hasn't really done anything for me. In fact, she has called me a super racist in the past.
The fact that so many people want to die on their swords for her is so weird. Like, Mega Common, what the fuck, man? You are literally out here saying that Peaches didn't participate in the garbage video you and super racist Char made, even though she edited the script.
You know, I may have said some racial slurs here and there, but I never called anyone or any group of people it. But here you are, Creepshow, saying that an Asian person has terrible skin for an Asian person. That's clearly directed at someone, and you're a lot more racist than I am. So if I'm a super racist, I guess that would make you a super racist 3.
Why the hell did you play a clip from Jar's response to Shannon? Couldn't you have gotten that clip from Shannon's video itself? I mean, for God's sake, the video is still public. You can watch it right now. Alex, stop nitpicking and just listen to Noah's argument, you asshole. You're right. I'm sorry. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Slight tangent, but like, bruh, you know both of y'all can be racist at the same time, right? Like, Creepshow being trash doesn't negate that. Do I think she said what she said just to get brownie points? Absolutely. Do I think her observation was wrong? No.
That's true. A broken clock can be right 2 times a day. But the problem here is that Jar isn't a racist, and you've yet to prove that he is. And Noah, your exact logic can be used against you. Jar being a racist doesn't prevent him from being hurt by an asshole. He might not garner much of your sympathy, but those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Anyway, tangent over. That's the timeline. So let's summarize real quick. The Toby drama happened and died. Then Jar and his friends revived it, did offensive things in the video. Black people and people of color called him out on it, found out Jar has done a lot worse, and called him out on that too, calling him a racist.
Wait. Did you just say black people and people of color?
Black people and people of color called him out on it.
Holy shit, you did. That's hilarious. I guess black isn't a color anymore, guys. Well, technically, black was never a color to begin with. It's a shade. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean.
Then white people, such as Creepshow Art, also call him a racist. Unless there's some missing Twitter DMs I'm missing, that's literally it.
Ho, honey, you are missing way more than Twitter DMs. You're missing entire videos worth of context. You didn't even go in depth on the racist behavior that people were calling Jar out for on Twitter. You just showed us one tweet, and you didn't even play the video that was in that one tweet. Jesus Christ, I'm actually starting to lose my mind here. Also, what exactly did Jar do in his Toby drama video that was offensive? If you're talking about the black SpongeBob image, then you're a moron and you need to get your priorities straight.
How is that Creepshow Art hurting you, my guy? Like, how is that her hurting you so badly that you felt the need to victimize yourself in Emily's comment section?
The sheer irony of this woman claiming that Jar was victimizing himself in his comment when not several minutes ago she was victimizing Kai and Omnia?
Kai and Omnia criticized Toby. This then started Toby drama in which the community were being microaggressive and overly critical towards Kai and Omnia.
Genuinely astonishes me. This might legitimately be the dumbest video I think I've ever seen. As for your question, Noah, well, I can't believe I actually have to explain this to you, but Shannon hurt Jar by spreading lies about Hopeless Peaches, who is Jar's friend. I don't know whether to be disgusted or amazed by your sheer lack of empathy in this situation.
And I'm not saying all of this to, defend Creepshow Art. Like, that's not the point of this at all. The point is to say that Just the Robot is not a victim of Creepshow Art. She didn't lie about him, she didn't manipulate him, she didn't bully him, she didn't harass him, she didn't do any of that. The most she did to him personally is repeat what black people were saying.
Because as we all know, whenever black people say anything about any topic, they are 100% correct no matter what. But even if Jar's detractors were right, and he is a racist, the fact remains that she lied about one of his friends, which by extension makes him one of her victims. Forget having a lack of empathy, I'm starting to think that you have a serious lack of brain cells.
The reason people still think that Just the Robot is racist has nothing to do with Creepshow Art and everything to do with Jar himself. For me, it's because of this man's actions, his doubling down on said actions, and his refusal to listen to any black person that doesn't defend him.
Which are 3 things that you've yet to prove actually happened in this video. Also, way to invalidate the opinions of black people who defend Jar, you racist piece of shit. I suppose behind closed doors, you refer to these people as Uncle Toms and coons, don't you?
Hi, Future Me here. I forgot to mention that there's nothing wrong with other black folks thinking Jar isn't racist and giving their opinion on the matter. We are a monolith and that's fine, like I don't take issue with that.
Oh, really? My bad then. I take back my insult.
What I do take issue with is when they try to police others' feelings or dismiss them entirely, and that's exactly what a lot of his black subscribers like to do. Like, I legit saw one of his black subscribers, assuming he's telling the truth, arguing well, I'm black and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. I'm sorry. He was arguing, well, I'm black and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. Crap.
Wow, never mind. I take back my take back. You are a racist piece of shit. You just said that you don't have a problem with black people disagreeing with you, and then go right on to belittle a black person for simply saying that using racial slurs doesn't automatically make you a racist, which, by the way, is the correct position to have. What should matter most in this situation is the person's intent, not the action itself. Do I even need to play the rest of this video? It's clear that Noah doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Like, I'm sorry that not all black people are as victimized by words as you are, lady. Last but not least, this commenter, if they even exist at all and Noah isn't just making them up, isn't trying to dismiss Jar's failings. He's just arguing that using racial slurs doesn't make you racist. You can disagree with that all you want, but please stop putting words in people's mouths.
Okay, I'm good. He was arguing, well, I'm black and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. And like, bro, don't do that. You can still like the man, but don't use your blackness to negate criticism from other black folks. Like, we can agree to disagree, but don't act like we're crazy for not wanting this. White man! Just say nigga, nigger, and coon. Like, come on, bro.
But he wasn't trying to dismiss any other black person's fucking opinion. He was stating his own. And yeah, people can disagree with the argument that he's making, sure. But if the reason for that disagreement is stupid, then other people have the right to call you out on it. Like I'm doing right the fuck now.
And for the millionth fucking time, Jar wasn't calling anybody those slurs. He was merely quoting other people who said them. Jesus Christ, woman, do you even pay attention to the videos that you commentate on?
The fact that anyone thinks this is even remotely similar to anyone Creepshow is actually effective is ridiculous to me.
I suppose that would be ridiculous to a person who doesn't even watch the videos they're talking about, but instead makes blind assumptions about a person's character.
Anyway, after reading Jar's nonsensical comments, I made the mistake of replying. And I call it a mistake not because I regret what I said, because I meant every word and I have the receipts to back it up, but it was a mistake because it really wasn't the time or the place. Even if it was just 2 comments out of thousands, I still participated in the derailment of Emily's story, and for that I apologize. Emily's never gonna see this, but I still need to say this in video form. Emily, I'm sorry for taking the focus off your trauma. I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been to come forward, and I really shouldn't have derailed your comment section in any way, shape, or form. I should have just kept what I said in my video and kept it pushing. Again, I'm sorry, and it won't happen again.
Oh, shut the fuck up, you moralizing piece of shit. First of all, I highly doubt that Emily Artful cares about a single comment thread that was left on her 2-hour-long expose video that has millions of views and thousands of other comments. If she did, that would make her just as much of a petty moron as you. Second of all, if you genuinely didn't want to derail Emily's story, then you would have ignored Jar's comment and you wouldn't have gone on to make not 1, but 2 videos talking about Jar's supposed racism. That's right, folks. As of the making of this video, Noah has made a response to Jar's video on Prison Mate Luke. A response that I look forward to laughing at in the near future. For now though, I'll just say this. Noah, you are a virtue signaling cunt and you have no integrity. You take people's words out of context so you can paint them in the worst light possible, you misrepresent entire videos worth of arguments, and contrary to what you may claim, you do believe that all black people are a monolith when it comes to what they believe in. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, and Noah, why are you offering Emily an apology? Don't you know that nobody's obligated to forgive you?
Now let's get into my response comment. Act just a robot. Bro, I keep trying to give you leeway, but you make it impossible. You built your channel off of dismissing minority, mostly black, voices and concerns, as well as blatant racism.
That's funny. I didn't know that making response videos to reaction channels and feminazis makes you a blatant racist. I learn new things on the internet every day, people.
1. You used a black avatar to mock black people, aka blackface, and lied about it. And no, the avatar from your Just a Kang video is entirely separate from your Professor Dreadlocks one.
Hey guys, have you ever watched a video where somebody makes an argument and then immediately debunks their own argument by playing clips from another person's video? If you haven't, then watch this shit.
Just a Kang! I decided to reveal my true colors. I, just a robot, am in fact black. Now I know what you're thinking, but you're a robot. How can you be black? Well, the answer is very simple. You see, you don't have to be black, because black people are magic. And just because you have dark skin, it doesn't make you black. If you're black and you disagree with anything I say in this video, then you are just a dark-skinned white devil. Now these undeniable black facts, I got them from Kraut and Tea.
Black man, go out, get a gun, and go kill a race soldier. Now, you may be saying that this is some pretty nasty fear-mongering, but you would be wrong. The race war is the only viable solution to our problems, because white people, you can't see them as anything but a collective, and you can't see them as anything but white, and most definitely not as individual.
Mr. Medicare.
Not Jacob, who's Jacob? The so-called legal Latinos and Native Americans, and assimilate Indians.
That is some compelling evidence. You heard it. Native Americans, Latinos, and blacks are the real Jews.
And of course, my lord and master, Tyreek Masheed.
Hey, flex up in this motherfucking knuckle! Hey, flex up in this motherfucking knuckle!
Links to all their videos will be down below, and I want every single one of you white devils to watch them. Now some of you white devils with melanin deficiency might be wondering, if the black race is so superior in every single way, then how did they lose their history and technology? Well, the answer is simple. Cannibalism.
Cannibalism was going on in Europe, big time. There's a lot of evidence showing the cannibalism that was going on in Europe. As a matter of fact, this whole vampire phenomenon that we have is rooted in the cannibalism that was going on in Europe.
That's right. In order to gain our black power, you white vampires had to eat us. And that black avatar you saw, that's not what I look like. My artist just took a guess as to what I looked like and drew that. I was holding on to it, and I didn't really know what to do with it until today.
You have got to be kidding me. I'm done. I'm done. You have no brain cells and are not prepared to have any sort of discussion about racial issues. Alright, so first of all, having a black version of your avatar isn't blackface. I mean, technically it is, but let's be real here. When you hear the term blackface, what imagery does your mind come up with? If you're a normal human being, you're probably thinking of those 1950s minstrel shows where white actors put on face paint and exaggerate certain facial features of theirs, such as their lips, while portraying all black people as dim-witted and prone to being violent. That's what blackface truly is. Intentionally portraying black people in a demeaning manner. What Jar is doing here, however, is not blackface. First of all, as he says at the end of the clip that Noah plays in her own damn video, this avatar doesn't look like him at all, and was simply what his artist thought he looked like in person.
Avatar you saw, that's not what I look like. My artist just took a guess as to what I looked like and drew that.
Second of all, what about this avatar looks demeaning to you? Does Jar have big pink or white lips? Does he have a huge nose? No? Then this isn't blackface. Jar's artist simply drew a black version of his character. By this logic, any black artist who turns a fictional character black in their fan art is committing blackface. Third of all, you can clearly tell that this video is satirizing black supremacists. That is why Jar is using the black version of his avatar and using such terms as Kang and white devils. He's making fun of racists. For fuck's sake, he references Sean King and says that anybody can be black because black people are magic.
I decided to reveal my true colors. I, just a robot, am in fact black. Now I know what you're thinking, but you're a robot. How can you be black? Well, the answer is very simple. You see, you don't have to be black, because black people are magic.
How can the point be any more clear to you? Either you are incredibly fucking stupid, or you're a malicious liar who's trying to push a certain narrative. Right now, I'm starting to lean more towards the latter. Lastly, where and how did Jar lie? Care to elaborate on that point, Chief? Because as far as I can tell, Jar is being completely honest about where his avatar came from. I think that what Noah is referring to here is this part of Prismmate Luke's video on Jar, where he claims that Jar has multiple black versions of himself.
Along with that, he has multiple videos of just having blackface versions of himself. And he can't say it's another character because one of them he literally says is just him blackface.
However, in his response to Luke, Jar once again proves that Luke is talking out his ass because the first avatar Luke showed was of Jar's black friend, Professor Dreadlocks.
Black versions of me? No, it's just in the same art style. And the guy I made it for, who by the way is actually black, was over the moon about it. Now I don't blame Luke for this, but some people got the impression that this was me, and we don't even sound similar.
Hello, I am Professor Dreadlock. I am friends with Just the Robot.
Now, to be fair, Jar doesn't mention the second avatar when he's responding to Luke, which implies that both avatars are of Professor Dreadlocks when they're not. This could be seen as him lying about not having a black avatar, but I personally believe that Jar forgot that Luke brought up both avatars, and thus made a poorly worded argument. I mean, which possibility makes more sense to you? That Jar is an evil racist who made this avatar to mock black people and doesn't want to own up to it because he's a coward? Or that he just focused too much on Luke getting one glaring fact wrong that he overlooked the other avatar that Luke brought up? Whether Jar was lying or not, however, Noah's argument is still stupid because Jar didn't make the avatar, his artist did. And once again, the avatar was used to make fun of black supremacists, not black people. Even if you disagree with the way that Jar used the avatar, which Noah states in text here, to say that it's blackface is just dumb. Not only that, but she doesn't even play the clips that I showed you in her video, thus stripping the viewers of the context needed to understand her argument. Noah, you are stupid and you should feel stupid.
2. You harassed black reaction channels for years and attacked one for criticizing iDubbbz's usage of the N-word.
Okay, so not only does making response videos to reaction channels make you racist, but it also counts as harassment now? I'll be sure to tell the entire commentary community to stop making response videos or I'll report them to the police for cyberbullying. Also, Jar didn't target black reaction channels specifically. That's another claim that you pulled out of your ass. The harsh reality is that most of the reaction channels that were out here doing stupid shit on YouTube a few years ago, such as stealing other people's videos, just happened to be black. That isn't Jar's fault, you fucking moron. Oh, and as for that comment about how Jar made numerous videos on T-Moss Boss, that right there shows me how low your character actually is. In order to explain exactly what I mean by that, I would have to summarize years worth of content from Just a Robot. However, I don't really feel like doing that because I've already poured dozens of hours of research into this video as is, and if you're still siding with Noah at this point, then you're just as much of a lost cause as she is, and there's nothing I can say or do to change your mind. So instead, I'll just play a clip from Carmen Ryder's response to Noah, where she goes over all of T-Moss Boss's transgressions for me. Roll it!
One time, he accused the Thomas the Tank Engine fanbase of being pedophiles.
You're still watching that Thomas the Train video? I would not be surprised if you were in prison, okay, for molesting a child.
Told the kid who made fun of him that he wanted to go to his country to kick him in the throat.
Like, if I was making, like, the YouTube money, like, PewDiePie and all that stuff, I probably would travel out to UK or, like, oh, yeah, I'm doing a tour or something out there. But for the most part, would be trying to find out where you're at so I could kick you in the throat.
Said that he hopes an autistic girl who criticized him, named Girl of Purple Heart, gets struck in the face, beaten within an inch of her life, and wanted a dog to bite her in the throat.
Like, honestly, I hope this girl gets slapped across her face one day because she said something that was just way too far. So I hope one day you cross that boundary to where someone probably beats you within an inch of your life. I hope a dog bite you in the throat or something.
Said it was karma when his fans sent snuff images to I Believe Elite's Discord server.
You know, I'm not going to dedicate an entire video to this. I'm just going to say this. Stop sending your fans to my server, or I will be forced to take legal action. Have a nice day!
And almost made a person kill themselves!
That's right, guys, this is the person that Noah is going to bat for. And as for Jar attacking a reaction channel for criticizing iDubbbz, that point is also stupid, and here's why. What Noah is referring to here is Jar's response to a now gone reaction / hip hop channel called Hood Reacts, who made a video / diss track against iDubbbz in which they took shots at iDubbbz for, among other things, saying the word nigger. Jar's response to their video was titled Hood Does Not Understand iDubbbz TV or Rice Gum. And while I could go into why the video wasn't an attack on Hood, here's the funny thing. Noah straight up plays 3 minutes of Jar's video in which Jar himself makes the point for me. I am not even joking.
Now, the reason why I wanted to make this song is not for clout or any of that. There's nothing to gain from this man because his fans is nothing but racist white people and coon-ass niggas.
So 100% of his fan base is either black or white, so there's no Asians or Latinos who watch him. Interesting, I did not know that. Also, I'm so sorry that every single black guy doesn't share a hive mind, and they have thoughts and opinions that differ from your own. By the way, reaction channels promote white supremacy, so if you're a black guy and you make reaction videos, then you're an Uncle Tom, and you're also a meanie stinky doo-doo face.
I mean, there's misconstruing somebody's argument, and then there's this.
But look at this, man. I'm a real authentic YouTuber. I can't hold anything back. I do not fuck with this dude. I can't fuck with no white dude running around on the internet saying the shit cool.
Well, what's the context? Did he say it in a song? Did he call someone it? Or did he just say it? Why is it bad when only white people say it? If he was Asian, would it be okay? If he was black, I know it certainly would be okay. The only time I remember him saying it was when he said, but even then, that was to make fun of a white girl.
This is the most astonishing thing I've ever witnessed, because typically, when you make a video trying to prove that somebody else is a racist, you try to put in clips of that person being a racist. Noah, on the other hand, plays clips that directly contradict her point.
You know what I'm saying? That shit is not cool, bro. You're not gonna catch us running around on the internet talking about,
Cracker Jack? You mean those bags of popcorn covered in caramel? I've never heard that used as an insult. I've heard cracker, but not Cracker Jack. By the way, why do so many racist black people act like white people are offended by the word cracker? I have never seen a white person ever be offended by the word cracker.
Like, what is the actual problem with these arguments, Noah? Aren't you gonna debunk them for us or something? You can't just play me clips of Jar's video and expect me to buy that they're examples of him attacking black reaction channels just because you've spent the past 15 minutes of this video framing him as a racist. You actually have to argue the point here, you lazy motherfucker. So yeah, these clips don't prove anything and Noah's a moron. Before I move on to her next point though, there's 3 more things that I'd like to mention. Firstly, throughout these clips, Noah censors any slur that both Hood Reacts and Jar use, such as nigger or faggot.
I can't fuck with no white dude running around on the internet saying the shit cool.
The only time I remember him saying it was when he said, but even then, that was to make fun of a white girl.
However, when it comes to the word cracker, which is a slur for white people, Noah doesn't censor it at all.
You're not gonna catch us running around on the internet talking about,
Cracker Jack? You mean those bags of popcorn covered in caramel? I've never heard that used as an insult. I've heard cracker, but not Cracker Jack. By the way, why do so many racist black people act like white people are offended by the word cracker? I have never seen a white person ever be offended by the word cracker.
That's an interesting double standard you have there, sweetie. I guess slurs are okay to leave in, so long as they're being directed at white people. You know what makes this even better? Noah doesn't bother to censor the slurs Uncle Tom or Coon either.
Now, the reason why I wanted to make this song is not for clout or any of that. There's nothing to gain from this man because his fans is nothing but racist white people and coon-ass niggas.
By the way, reaction channels promote white supremacy, so if you're a black guy and you make reaction videos, then you're an Uncle Tom.
That's real considerate of you, Noah. Secondly, there's this part of the video where Noah points out that Jar is using the word nigger again.
So your thumbnail maker is either a racist white person or a coon according to you.
For the love of God, Noah, why are you acting as though this is a huge problem? Jar isn't calling anyone a coon-ass nigger. Jar is simply arguing that by Hood's own logic, his thumbnail maker is a coon-ass nigger. You wanna know how I know that? Because Hood Reacts says as much at the beginning of his own damn video.
Now, the reason why I wanted to make this song is not for clout or any of that. There's nothing to gain from this man because his fans is nothing but racist white people and coon-ass niggas.
Either explain why he's wrong for doing this or shut the fuck up. And again, you left in the word coon but not the word nigger, even though they're both slurs that are used against black people. Either you are just incredibly lazy or you're racist. I would like to believe you're the former, but given what you think about black people who defend Jar,
what I do take issue with is when they try to police others' feelings or dismiss them entirely, and that's exactly what a lot of his black subscribers like to do. Like, I legit saw one of his black subscribers, assuming he's telling the truth, arguing, well, I'm black, and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. I'm sorry. He was arguing, well, I'm black, and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. Crap.
yeah, it's not looking too good for you, buddy. Last but not least, for all of the posturing that Noah does about being inclusive and progressive, it's interesting to me that she leaves out the parts of Jar's video where he calls out Hood Reacts for saying some pretty homophobic things.
Nigga, don't take a trash map to find me, I'm here. I see the closet door open, just step out, you queer.
Is that homophobia I hear?
If I were as much of a bad faith actor as Noah is, I'd argue that she's actually homophobic, and that she left that part out of her video because she actually likes what Hood Reacts said. However, I'm not a scumbag, so I think the more reasonable explanation is that she left that part out of her video because she knew that if she kept it in, then people wouldn't see Hood Reacts as the victims of Jar's racist attack on them, but as pieces of shit who were getting their just desserts. What she did is still scummy and dishonest either way, but let's move on.
IS titties, IS and titties, IS titties, IS and titties.
3. You apologize for using that hard R, yet admitted you would continue to use the N-word if your black friends were okay with it.
And I understand that word does have history, so I don't call black people that word. Unless, of course, they're cool with me using the GA with them.
What is wrong with that? Seriously, what is the fucking problem here? Oh no, Jar is okay with calling his black friends nigga if they're okay with him using the word. Grab your pitchforks and raid the local Walmart for supplies, everybody, because the world is going to end.
4. You dismiss the existence of cultural appropriation, the lack of minority representation in video games, and criticism of the Confederate flag.
Sometimes they're shrouded in language like pimps and hoes party.
Pimps and hoes? Really? First of all, if being a pimp or a hoe is part of your culture, it's really nothing to be proud of. Second, pimps and hoes are not really a part of a certain culture. It's more of a profession thing. And before someone says that most pimps are black, well, guess what? Most astronauts are white. So by that logic, no one but white people can throw a space-themed party. You see how that sounds? Every single person should be able to throw whatever themed party they want. I was just in New York City. It was a city full of different people with different cultures and different backgrounds. They interacted and celebrated different cultures. The people who say, stop appropriating my culture, are the real racists.
Do I even need to say anything here? I mean, this is the third fucking time that Noah just played a clip from Jar's video, expecting it to prove her point that he dismissed the existence of cultural appropriation, but instead, Jar just explained why cultural appropriation is a nonsensical fucking idea. Before I skip to her next point, there's one last argument that I want to make. Noah claims that Jar dismissed criticism of the Confederate flag and then plays a clip from Jar's response to a video made by Fuck Hate about why the Confederate flag is racist.
Now you wait, it don't mean none of that white supremacy.
Really? In 1863, an earlier version of the flag had a white background, which the designer said represented, and I quote, the supremacy of the white man.
Good job. You actually got something right for once.
It's about our historical legacy.
Yeah. No.
Yes it is.
The racist man who murdered 9 black people in a church stood with this flag in a photo celebrating the racism it stood for.
I'm really getting sick of people saying things like that. Just because a Boy Scout shot up a school, it doesn't mean they're all like that. What that man did was very wrong. However, you can't judge a whole group of people just because of one man's actions. Just because black people tend to be in prison more often than white people, it does not mean we should treat them any differently.
However, what Noah doesn't show you is this clip from the beginning of Jar's video.
I just want to make something very clear. I am not a fan of the Confederate flag. However, I do think censoring it will make things worse.
What the hell is this, Noah? I thought that Jar was dismissing criticism of the Confederate flag because he liked it so much. Oh wait, that's not what his video was about at all. Wait. Before we move on, can we see the last clip that Noah plays us from Jar's video again?
Just because black people tend to be in prison more often than white people, it does not mean we should treat them any differently.
What? Did Jar just tell us that we shouldn't treat an entire race of people any differently just because they're statistically more likely to have a certain trait? But Noah, I thought Jar is supposed to be this big bad meanie racist head. Could it be that you lied to me?
All three of the examples listed include complex subject matter that need their own individual videos basically debunking them. So I'll probably work on that sometime in the future.
So what you're telling me is that instead of taking the time to come up with rebuttals to all of Jar's arguments, you decided to simply throw all of these clips in this video without the adequate context in the hopes of convincing people that the opinions expressed by Jar in said clips are racist. That definitely sounds like the mature and intellectually honest thing to do. You wanna know what the sad thing is? Noah's plan fucking worked. Seriously, why the fuck does this video have such a positive reception? Did none of you people watch the damn thing?
I couldn't include the video game one because the whole video is just Jar being loud and wrong, and well, that's true for all his content, but like with this one it's more difficult because of the subject matter. It includes like charts and references and all that mess, so yeah, I'm going to be making a video on that soon.
So in other words, Jar uses actual evidence in that video, evidence that you cannot counter at all, so you have to take the time to craft a narrative that'll dismiss that evidence. I got you.
5. You played the Oppression Olympics with interracial and gay couples in the Steven Universe PSA video, deny that you did, and purposely left out the section where you admitted to telling your black trainer that gay people have it worse.
To the surprise of absolutely no one, I don't think Noah actually watched Jar's video on the Steven Universe PSA, because if she did, then she'd know why Jar told his black trainer that gay people have it worse in America than black people.
There's a ton of anti-LGBT stuff in the black community that we almost never talk about. I've even met a few black guys who believe that the LGBT community is white nationalism. I guess I'm just a little bothered about this because I recently discovered my personal trainer is a black Israelite, and we got into an argument about who had more rights, gay people or black people. He told me that any gay slur would be considered a hate crime. And you can say whatever you want to a black person, even the N-word, and nothing bad will happen to you. Which I completely disagree with. I mean, way more people have been cancelled for using the N-word than the British term for a cigarette. We had a black president, or at least a half-black president. As far as I know, we haven't had a gay president, at least an openly gay president. Pete Buttigieg didn't even come close to winning. As someone who's neither gay or black, I'm just gonna say I think gay people have it worse in America. At least from what I've seen.
Jar's point here is that his black supremacist friend is a fucking idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, and answer me this, Noah. If Jar really was a racist, then why would he be friends with a black supremacist? You know, somebody who believes that black people are superior to all other races of people. The logic doesn't track there, homie. Also, how is Jar the one who is playing the Oppression Olympics when it was his friend who brought up the disparities between black and gay people in the first place? Is it because Jar disagrees with him and is white? I'd really like to think that that isn't the reason why you believe that Jar is playing the Oppression Olympics, Noah, but considering that you've spent this whole ass video taking Jar out of context, it's really starting to seem that way. How in the hell is Jar in the wrong here anyways? Because all I hear is him spitting nothing but straight facts.
Get it? Straight facts. I'm really sorry about that, guys.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
It did take longer for gay couples to get the right to marry than it did interracial couples. There is a high level of homophobia, not just in America, but in the black community specifically. If you want proof of that, just listen to any rap song that was released in the 90s and early 2000s.
Now I can freak, fly, flow, fuck up a faggot. Don't understand the ways and I ain't down with gays.
Made bail with different size kicks on, a white dress shirt, looking gay in the yard, and you got hurt. Flashbacks for the day room, mop ringing style. Your faggot ass got bashed, trying to turn it down.
Damn it, near, like you're from the impressive. Oh wait, this is faggot, the ass is the given. Who you kidding? You're only trying to rock the party. You ain't really down to shoot nobody, so why you frontin'? Saying from the cops you be running. In jail in a pair of panties, you look just stunning.
Rockefeller died of AIDS, that was the end of his chapter. And that's the guy I chose to name your company after. Put it together. I rock hoes, y'all rock fellas.
Now the formula is this, me, Tip, and Ali. For those who can't count, it goes 1, 2, 3. The anti-batty boy, big up is who I be.
Heard that convicted rapist on the record too. Fresh out of jail, ass cheeks still black and blue. Tell me about the things Ian Fighter taught you. How to bust another two.
Yeah, that's buttable.
It be prosperous, though we live dangerous. Cops could just arrest me, blaming us we're held like hostages. It's only right that I was born to use mics, and the stuff that I write is even tougher than dice. Death on a phono, my skills are pono. You say, oh no, you bitch ass homo. See me coming in the dance with the slipper sensei. Down with the sound called BDP. If you want to join the crew, well, you must see me. You can't sound like Shan or the one Marley. Because Shan and Marley Marley, my rhyming like the gay. Picking up the mic, man, and don't know what to say.
I mean, for the love of God, Eminem got away with calling Tyler, the Creator, a faggot on the song Fall not too long ago.
My attack is vicious, Jack the Ripper back in business. Tyler create nothing, I see why you called yourself a faggot. Bitch, it's not just cause you lack attention, it's because you worship the 12 balls, you're sacrilegious.
Granted, he did get backlash for it, but it's not as though he lost his career or anything. And before anybody goes, but Eminem is white, then what about Tracy Morgan and Kevin Hart, huh? They've both made homophobic statements in the past, and that hasn't cost them their careers. Sure, Kevin Hart had to step down from hosting the Oscars that one time, and Tracy Morgan has been relegated to a C-list actor, but they still have careers.
Meanwhile, other celebrities have lost theirs for making racist comments, which is what Jar was arguing.
For example, Roseanne Barr had her hugely successful sitcom cancelled by ABC after she called Valerie Jarrett, who was a black senior advisor to former President Barack Obama, the baby of the quote Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes, and she's all but faded from the public consciousness ever since. There's also Jimmy the Greek, who posited that black people make better athletes than white people because they were bred for their athleticism back in slave times, and that comment cost him his career as a color commentator. And Jimmy the Greek made those comments back in the 1980s, a time when America was arguably far more hostile to black people than it is now. It's also true that gay people aren't as successful in politics as black people are. Do you want to know when the first black senator was elected? 1870, 5 years after black people were freed from slavery. Do you want to know when the first openly gay senator was elected? 2012. Gay people did not even have the right to marry at that point. Do you want to know how many black people are currently serving in Congress? 60. Do you want to know how many openly gay people are currently serving in Congress? 11. We've never had a gay president or vice president, but we have had a black president and a black vice president. Plus, as Jar pointed out,
The one gay guy who did run for president got his ass fucked, and not in the pleasurable way. All of this political failure is in spite of the fact that gay people have been around for just as long as black people have.
You know what? I'm starting to think that Jar might have a fucking point here.
Now, me personally, I believe that black people and gay people are on equal footing when it comes to how, quote, oppressed they are. Because both groups have the same rights that straight white people do. They have the freedom of speech. They have the right to marry whoever they want. They can vote. They have the right to bear arms. They can do pretty much anything that straight white people can do. So believe it or not, I actually do disagree with Jar, though it's not because he's a racist bigot. Jar simply believes that gay people have less rights than black people, and are treated worse than black people are, while I believe that gay people have the same amount of rights as black people, but are still treated worse than black people are.
You know what? Let's shove all of that to the side and watch the clips of Jar's video that Noah put together for us. I am 100% convinced that they will prove her argument.
There's a ton of anti-LGBT stuff in the black community that we almost never talk about. I've even met a few black guys who believe that the LGBT community is white nationalism. I guess I'm just a little bothered about this because I recently discovered my personal trainer is a black Israelite, and we got into an argument about who had more rights, gay people or black people. He told me that any gay slur would be considered a hate crime. And you can say whatever you want to a black person, even the N-word, and nothing bad will happen to you. Which I completely disagree with. I mean, way more people have been canceled for using the N-word than the British term for a cigarette. We had a black president, or at least a half-black president. As far as I know, we haven't had a gay president, at least an openly gay president. Pete Buttigieg didn't even come close to winning. As someone who's neither gay or black, I'm just gonna say I think gay people have it worse in America. At least from what I've seen.
Forgetting you is the thing that I cannot do. Yet I know it is very true. I'm forgetting you.
Before I respond to Noah's next point, let me address the little comment that she wrote in red text here.
He also joked about Michelle Obama having a peen, which is rooted in racism, colorism, and possibly transphobia.
Actually, the joke is that Michelle Obama is simply more masculine than her husband is. It has nothing to do with race or transgenderism. But I suppose when your brain is ruled by leftist ideology, that even the most innocuous of insults can be linked to all of these other horrible things.
6. You attack Milo Stewart for trying to discuss the intersectionality of sexuality and race, and allow your collab partner to use multiple slurs in that video.
Jar didn't attack anybody. He merely criticized Milo Stewart's opinion. Criticism is not harassment. Get over yourself. Also, let's not forget that Milo Stewart is the piece of shit who said this.
All white people are racist, all men are misogynistic, all cisgender people are transphobic, all members of a majority are biased against the members of the minority or oppressed group.
We'll add him/her/it to the list of people that Noah considers better than Jar. Right below Timas Boss. And what does sexuality have to do with your race anyways? Last time I checked, racism and homophobia are two completely different issues, because your sexuality has nothing to do with your race. Is it possible that you'll undergo more harassment in your life if you're a gay black man instead of a straight black man? Sure, but that doesn't mean that racism and homophobia go hand in hand and that you can't talk about one without bringing up the other. You know, for somebody who is just getting on Jar's case for playing the Oppression Olympics, you sure aren't doing any better of a job yourself, Noah.
I have seen so many YouTubers talking about Black Lives Matter this summer.
I wonder why that is.
With topics like, why is it important? And why do we say Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter?
Well, the main reason is because Black Lives Matter hates white people and are racist towards white people, so to them, their lives don't matter to the Black Lives Matter movement. That's why you don't say all lives matter. Because basically now, all lives matter is the same equivalent to saying kill all the niggers, cheeks, and spicks.
Yeah? What's the problem? That all seems accurate to me.
And for the love of God, woman, learn the meaning of context. The reason why Autonomous Prime is casually saying these slurs isn't because he's a racist bigot. It's because he's describing how he personally feels proponents of Black Lives Matter view proponents of all lives matter. You can disagree with his argument if you want, but don't lie about it.
So I decided that I wanted to respond to arguments that Black Lives Matter is anti-LGBT.
And I'm guessing you're not going to show any clips from any videos talking about this subject to make it easier to strawman, right?
And don't worry, we won't do the work for you. You should have done this, but we should have known that you will never do that. So we'll show it eventually.
What is the fucking issue, Noah? Did Jar and his buddy lie about Milo Stewart not putting any evidence in his/her/its video? If so, fucking prove it to me. Make an argument. Debunk what they're saying. My God, this is so intellectually dishonest.
A lot of people seem to think that Black Lives Matter pushes their activism into spaces where it is neither relevant nor necessary. However, I believe that we can't really have a conversation about LGBT rights without addressing race.
Well, I think you could very easily talk about LGBT issues without addressing race. I'm not going to lie, there are parallels. However, to say you can't talk about one without talking about the other is just ridiculous.
It's not like they're conjoined at the hip. They're two issues. They just share two people.
Again, what is the fucking problem, my dude? How does any of this prove that Jar is this racist bigot? Where is your argument?
And we can't talk about police brutality without talking about LGBT rights.
Two men should have the right to get married just like a man and a woman. There, I just talked about LGBT rights without talking about police brutality. It's actually quite easy.
When you hit the nail on the head just right, folks. I agree with Jar here. If you guys want to get married and be miserable like the rest of us, go right ahead. Won't stop you. Mostly because I do not care.
Alright, fuck it. If you're not actually gonna respond to any of their points, then I'm skipping to the relevant part of your video.
Most often when people accuse the Black Lives Matter movement of being anti-LGBT, they talk about this video of a Latina woman speaking at a vigil for Pulse victims, and the actions of groups like Black Lives Matter Toronto, which protested the Toronto Pride Parade. So I'm going to talk about those. Tiffany, the Latina woman from the Pulse vigil video, was invited on stage to read the names of the victims, and was the first one at the event to mention the fact that most of the victims were Latinx.
Why should their race matter? The shooter didn't kill them because of their race. If the shooter didn't care about their race, then neither should I.
Because we all know, if you don't see color and do not base people on the color of their skin, then you are a racist.
Tiffany started her speech out by saying, I was really nervous to get up here because there's a lot of white people in the crowd.
Yeah, that's blatantly racist. It's not okay to make judgments about any group of people based on the color of their skin. And it's not okay to be racist no matter what your skin color is. I don't get how you don't understand that.
It went on to say, I thought I'd just take the moment to just list out some facts that many of you probably don't know because you're white.
That's totally not racist.
Although the part where she talks about the facts that she wanted to share seems to have been edited out, or maybe she was just interrupted so she didn't get to say those parts. Either way, it's not in video.
First of all, Milo, how do you know what she was going to say was fact? It really doesn't matter what she was going to say. Have you ever heard of scientific racism? That was treated as fact, but it didn't make it any less bigoted.
But I could probably tell you what she would say. She would probably say white supremacy, the patriarchy, black people are always down, Latinx people of color are always oppressed, and you white people need to give me money and reparations or whatever the fuck, because you're the reason why this has happened.
Hi, so I just realized the context as to what Milo was talking about and why they're correct is missing. So I'm going to read this small snippet from this Vox article because I believe it summarizes everything perfectly. The article is Whitewashing the Orlando Shooting Victims Only Makes LGBTQ People of Color More Vulnerable to Violence by Michelle Garcia. 90% of the 49 people killed were Latino or Latino descent, specifically 23 victims were Puerto Rican, according to New York Times. Yet when it came time for politicians to extend their thoughts and prayers to the victims, many of them, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan, glossed over the fact that the victims were part of these marginalized groups. Representative Pete Sessions argued it was a young person's nightclub, I'm told, and there were some LGBTQ people there, but it was mostly Latinos, as though LGBTQ people could not also be Latino. But the Times also reported that LGBTQ people are the most likely group to be attacked when compared individually with racial and religious groups. Overall, 1/5 of hate crimes tracked by the FBI are carried out on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. Half of all hate crimes are due to race, with all races combined. Multiple bias incidents, though, are mentioned in the report at less than 1% and not broken down much further. It's this heightened vulnerability to violence, both racially and based on sexual orientation and gender identity, that makes it all the more important to avoid whitewashing the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting. It's also key to remember that many people of color are, in fact, LGBTQ, even if the data used to track such violence often misses this point. Ignoring this only continues a vicious cycle. Even with the evolving visibility of LGBTQ people on the whole, LGBTQ still translate to many people as white, gay, and male. Perhaps that's because many of the organizations and media centered on LGBTQ people for so long have been run by and focused on white gay men, and because of that, the unique needs of LGBTQ people of color are then ignored, which continues a disproportionate cycle of targeted violence. Being bisexual, lesbian, gay, or sexually queer in a heterosexist society means you'll be subject to heterosexist violence. Being female, feminist, transgender, or genderqueer means you'll be subject to sexist, misogynistic, or patriarchal violence. Being a person of color means you'll be the subject of white supremacist violence. Being two or more of those things compounds the violence you experience and the reasons you're experiencing it. It also makes it more difficult to feel some semblance of safety, because you could be targeted for one of those identities in a space that's set up to be safe for people with another one of those identities.
So yeah, I hope with the added context you can understand why what was said in that clip was so disgusting and just flat out wrong.
Oh, okay. In order for me to explain how incorrect Milo and Noah's point here is, I'm going to need to give you guys a quick history lesson. On June 12th, 2016, a 29-year-old Afghan-American named Omar Mateen shot up a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. He killed 49 people and injured 53 more before getting killed himself by police officers after a 3-hour-long standoff. The debate over whether the victims of this mass shooting, who were primarily Hispanic, were whitewashed/straightwashed, is completely irrelevant and disrespectful to the victims for one simple reason. The shooter wasn't motivated by a hatred of gay people or Hispanic people. According to the shooter himself, this act of terror was retaliation for America engaging in interventionist wars in the Middle East. Sure, there's a possibility that he was motivated by anti-gay sentiments, given that he was an Islamic extremist, and if you know anything about Islam, you know that it isn't particularly accepting of the LGBT community. But as Professor Dreadlocks argued in Jar's response to Noah, that's merely speculation. Hell, these people don't even prove that the media was whitewashing/straightwashing the victims to begin with. The girl who brought all this crap up at the vigil for the victims of this mass shooting just says that it happened and then admonishes the white people in attendance for being white.
When people accuse the Black Lives Matter movement of being anti-LGBT, they talk about this video of a Latina woman speaking at a vigil for Pulse victims, and the actions of groups like Black Lives Matter Toronto, which protested the Toronto Pride Parade. So I'm going to talk about those. Tiffany, the Latina woman from the Pulse Vigil video, was invited on stage to read the names of the victims, and was the first one at the event to mention the fact that most of the victims were Latinx. Tiffany started her speech out by saying, "I was really nervous to get up here because there's a lot of white people in the crowd," and went on to say, "I thought I'd just take the moment to just list out some facts that many of you probably don't know because you're white." Although the part where she talks about the facts that she wanted to share seems to have been edited out, or maybe she was just interrupted so she didn't get to say those parts. Either way, it's not in the video.
Even if the part of her speech where she gives evidence for her argument was left out of the video, what she did was still incredibly racist and disgusting. People are there to mourn the lives of those lost in a mass shooting, not to be condescendingly lectured to about identity politics. It is astonishing how much of a rank hypocrite Noah is. For someone who criticized Jar for, quote, reviving the Toby drama, even though his Toby drama video came out only a month after the drama was, quote, over, I find it incredibly disgusting that she has no issue politicizing a mass shooting that occurred 5 years ago in order to push the narrative that Jar is a racist. What makes this even worse is that Noah doesn't even make her own argument. She just reads through a Vox article and acts as though it refutes Jar's position, even though the article itself has nothing to do with what Jar and Autonomous Prime were saying. Their point was that intersectionality is a stupid concept, and that the lady who was lecturing white people about identity politics at the vigil was being a racist, disrespectful asshole.
Seem to think that Black Lives Matter pushes their activism into spaces where it is neither relevant nor necessary. However, I believe that we can't really have a conversation about LGBT rights without addressing race.
Well, I think you could very easily talk about LGBT issues without addressing race. I'm not gonna lie, there are parallels. However, to say you can't talk about one without talking about the other is just ridiculous.
It's not like they're conjoined at the hip. They're two issues. They just share two people.
And we can't talk about police brutality without talking about LGBT rights.
Two men should have the right to get married just like a man and a woman. There, I just talked about LGBT rights without talking about police brutality. It's actually quite easy.
When you hit the nail on the head just right, folks, I agree with Jar here. If you guys want to get married and be miserable like the rest of us, go right ahead. Won't stop you. Mostly because I do not care.
Most often, when people accuse the Black Lives Matter movement of being anti-LGBT, they talk about this video of a Latina woman speaking at a vigil for Pulse victims, and the actions of groups like Black Lives Matter Toronto, which protested the Toronto Pride Parade. So I'm going to talk about those. Tiffany, the Latina woman from the Pulse vigil video, was invited on stage to read the names of the victims, and was the first one at the event to mention the fact that most of the victims were Latinx.
Why should their race matter? The shooter didn't kill them because of their race. If the shooter didn't care about their race, then neither should I.
Because we all know, if you don't see color and do not base people on the color of their skin, then you are a racist.
Tiffany started her speech out by saying, "I was really nervous to get up here because there's a lot of white people in the crowd."
Yeah, that's blatantly racist. It's not okay to make judgments about any group of people based on the color of their skin. And it's not okay to be racist no matter what your skin color is. I don't get how you don't understand that.
The Vox article, on the other hand, talks about how people were supposedly whitewashing the victims of anti-LGBT violence, and how victims of said violence are often unaccounted for in hate crime studies.
90% of the 49 people killed were Latino or Latino descent, specifically 23 victims were Puerto Rican, according to New York Times. Yet when it came time for politicians to extend their thoughts and prayers to the victims, many of them, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan, glossed over the fact that the victims were part of these marginalized groups. Representative Pete Sessions argued it was a young person's nightclub, I'm told, and there were some LGBTQ people there, but it was mostly Latinos, as though LGBTQ people could not also be Latino. But the Times also reported that LGBTQ people are the most likely group to be attacked when compared individually with racial and religious groups. Overall, 1/5 of hate crimes tracked by the FBI are carried out on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. Half of all hate crimes are due to race, with all races combined. Multiple bias incidents, though, are mentioned in the report at less than 1% and not broken down much further.
What the fuck does this have to do with anything? Like I said, the shooter didn't target these people because they were gay or Hispanic. He targeted them because they were American. So this whole discussion is completely besides the point. You have lost the plot, Noah. But considering that this whole video has been nothing but lies, I guess I shouldn't really be surprised by that.
Milo Stewart, who I'm pretty sure was still a minor at the time, was just trying to use their privilege as a white person to bring more awareness to this issue, but these two grown men freaking attacked him for it.
Oh god, I was joking about you believing in white privilege. Come on! Also, being a minor does not excuse you from criticism. If a 12-year-old white kid made a video where he called black people niggers who were better off being slaves, would any of you motherfuckers take it easy on him? No! Because the kid is being a racist asshole, and he needs to be put in his place. And please stop trying to equate criticism with harassment, because it makes you look weak as fuck.
Anyway, back to my comment. And I don't know where to begin with the BuzzFeed and Trump supporting videos.
Actually, as Jared himself explained, he didn't really vote for Trump. He just said that he did for the meme.
I mean, the other choice was Hillary, and you always vote for the person who you think is the least bad. I was a Bernie bro at first, but after Hillary stole the election from him, I wanted to get back and vote for Trump. But even then, I actually didn't vote for Trump, I just claimed I did for the meme. At the time, I lived in California, and why would I even bother voting for him? It's California, it's gonna go to Hillary no matter what. It's not about the popular vote, it's about the electoral vote. Only thing I voted for at the time was the legalization of marijuana. Any support I had for Trump quickly disappeared after he banned trans people from the military.
To be fair, Jar doesn't present any proof, but considering that Noah has been lying her ass off this entire video, I'm more than inclined to take his word for it. But even if Jar did vote for Trump and was a Trump supporter, what does that have to do with anything? Do you just believe that voting for Trump is racist? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the guy either, but I don't think that voting for him makes you a racist.
In fact, more black and Hispanic people voted for Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. You heard me right. Trump actually gained more support from minorities in the most recent election. I wonder why that could be. Is it because Joe Biden is a blathering idiot who can't finish a goddamn sentence to save his life?
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of I think it's $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-point-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth, $1.4 trillion worth. Out of $1.4 billion. It's hard to even say it, it's so much.
Actually, it might have something to do with the fact that Biden is the guy who wrote the 1994 crime reform bill that is directly responsible for the policing issues affecting the black community right now.
But no, that's all wrong. Obviously, the only reason anybody could possibly vote for Donald Trump is because they're racist. I'm sorry, but if you're black or Hispanic and you voted for Donald Trump, you're all traitors. Turn in your minority cards right the fuck now, assholes.
When confronted with all this and then some, your immediate reaction was to double down, use the "I'm not racist, I have black friends" subscribers excuse, and use said black friends subscribers to dismiss our criticism of you. Even now, you're showing that you haven't learned a thing.
If I just say that all of this happened, then my words immediately become the truth. That's how proving your argument works, right?
You wonder why we still perceive you as a racist. Responses like this or why. Creepshow has nothing to do with it.
Ah yes, defending yourself from false claims of racism is exactly what makes you a racist. Thanks for that nugget of wisdom that no one asked for.
And again, while I do regret posting this in Emily's comment section because it wasn't time and the place, I still stand by everything I said.
And I still stand by the opinion that you're a moralizing douchebag.
The priorities of the commentary community truly astonishes me. Like, y'all make video after video over the most mundane crap over DMs or tweets, but you'll let blatant racism slide. Like, that's amazing to me. Like, y'all scream about accountability, holding other people accountable, and allyship, being allies POC, but refuse to check this man. Like, it's I have no words. It's just clownery. That's the only way I can describe it. Clownery.
No! Fuck off! You do not get to sit there and whine about how the commentary community makes video after video about mundane shit like tweets when the entirety of the Toby drama was arguably about mundane shit like some white woman's dumb take on Shane Dawson. This whole video was made because of a single fucking comment, for God's sake. Jesus Christ, you're such a hypocrite. I hate it.
Anyway, in conclusion, Creepshow R is a horrible person who victimized and lied about multiple people, but Just Robot's not one of them, and people need to stop acting like he is. But hey, that's just my personal opinion that no one asked for.
Sorry, honey, but even if this is just your opinion, that doesn't shield you from criticism. And don't tell me that that's not what she meant, because she would have no reason to say this at the end of the video if she wasn't at all confident about the validity of her arguments. She would have just bid everyone goodbye and ended the video.
If you somehow finish this video, thank you so much. I don't know how or why, but thank you. My next video is probably going to be a reaction to Jar's Prismate Luke video, because I'm so sick of this narrative that Jar debunked everything and that he was lied about when that's not the case at all. I'm not sure when it's coming, but it's definitely coming.
Oh, and trust me, I will respond to that video one of these days. Just not today, because there's only so much bullshit I can take before my voice starts to give out. With that being said, let's move right along to my final thoughts.
Because No One Asked is a small YouTuber and this was her first video ever, I've seen some people brush it off as a simple mistake that we should all look past. Frankly, I disagree with all of you. There is a difference between making an honest mistake and outright slandering somebody. An honest mistake would be if I made a video where I said that the grass is green and somebody made a response to that video where they took a joke I made about the grass actually being red seriously and used it against me. In that situation, I could give that person a pass and say, dude, that was obviously a joke. Pay better attention to the videos you're watching so you don't make yourself look like a dumbass. What Noah did in this video though definitely falls in the latter category, and if somebody is slandering you, you should absolutely give them hell for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we should harass her, but let's not take it easy on her. Noah intentionally took Jar out of context countless times and twisted his words to paint him as a racist. Not only that, but she is a hypocrite who does quite literally everything she accuses Jar of doing, belittling the opinions of black people.
What I do take issue with is when they try to police others' feelings or dismiss them entirely, and that's exactly what a lot of his black subscribers like to do. Like, I legit saw one of his black subscribers, assuming he's telling the truth, arguing, well, I'm black and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. I'm sorry. He was arguing, well, I'm black and I don't see the issue with Jar using racial slurs, so he can't be racist. Crap.
Dragging up old drama.
I know a lot has happened recently, so let's go down memory lane. Kai and Omnia criticized Toby. This then started Toby drama in which the community were being microaggressive and overly critical towards Kai and Omnia. There was some back and forth for a while, but the drama died. You, Common, and Fuchsia Brothers decided to revive the Toby drama, and that now removed hit piece against the two of them.
And even doubling down on bullshit arguments. This goes far beyond making a simple mistake. Noah made this video to push a false narrative that Jar is a racist because she's driven by a leftist ideology and will do anything to promote it. Something that's especially apparent by her use of terms like microaggressive and white privilege.
Kai and Omnia criticized Toby. This then started Toby drama in which the community were being microaggressive and overly critical towards Kai and Omnia. Milo Stewart, who I'm pretty sure was still a minor at the time, was just trying to use their privilege as a white person to bring more awareness to this issue.
Along with her defense of reprehensible people like T-Moss Boss and Milo Stewart. No sane person uses those terms or defends people like that. Only leftists pull that kind of shit. If you think that I'm reaching though, then try this on for size. In the description, Noah implies that Jar lied about losing access to his old channel because some of the videos of his that she referenced have since been deleted. However, if this woman did even 2 seconds of research, she'd have found this update video that Jar uploaded to his old channel where he explicitly says that he has since gained access to his old account again.
Well, I'm finally back. In all seriousness, I promised myself if I ever got back into this account, I would explain what happened. So, this is actually not my account. It's a friend's account. I was uploading on this account, and he eventually gave it to me. But because of him using the same email for this account to download Skyrim mods, someone hacked into the email and changed the passwords and everything, and I lost access. Eventually, he gained access to it, but I was having problems getting back in. But at long last, I'm back. The last 2 videos you've seen uploaded on this account are not from the hacker, it's from the owner of this account. He was just testing things out to make sure everything was good. And I'm finally, at long last, back in this account.
I'm sorry, but I refuse to give this woman the benefit of the doubt. She's a liar, and it sickens me that she can make one video slandering somebody and get tens of thousands of views and hundreds of subscribers overnight, but somebody like me, who does their best to make informed, reasonable arguments about a wide variety of different topics, has barely gotten anywhere after 5 years of being on this platform.
Everybody is awful these days. It's enough to make anyone crazy.
Just a Robot, if you happen to be watching this video, don't be discouraged by how popular Noah's hit piece is. Not everybody buys her bullshit, and it's only a matter of time until she picks on the wrong person and gets exposed for being the hack she is. Can you be racially insensitive at times? Yes. Have you made bad jokes and arguments in the past? Yes. Have you treated other YouTubers unfairly at times? Yes. But that doesn't make you an irredeemable monster. Everybody makes mistakes, and the ones that you made are in no way bad enough to warrant you putting up with all of these lies from butthurt woke scolds who can't grasp the concept of context. You're not a racist, you're not a bigot, you're just a robot.
I'm Alex the Critic, and please, do some research before you make a video attacking somebody. I'll see you guys next time.